Good evening, Tobago. Good evening, Trinidad. Good evening, those of you watching from all over the world. We have had some significant technical difficulties this evening that has led to us having to reroute how we will get this information shared to you. For some reason, the Facebook Live wasn't working. For another reason, we weren't getting the upload speeds we wanted. We just couldn't get the thing uploaded. And so we're streaming live through YouTube. That seemed to be working. We had to switch service providers. Apparently one service provider having some difficulties with a server out of Shogunas, but we're figuring it out. And coincidentally this evening we're looking particularly at food security and rural development. And we have just basically titled this episode, If You Chook, You Could Look. If you choke, you could look. Simply means if you choke something in the ground, if you plant something, then you could look out to something growing. There is a parable in scripture about the planting of seeds, the throwing of seeds, and not everything that was planted in that parable actually bore fruit, because sometimes you plant, some things grow, some things don't grow, some things go extremely well, some things go poorly, and then you get to understand and play around with the science of soils and some agronomics and all of those things, and figure out what is the best crop to plant where, and the right type of nutrients needed, and all sorts of stuff. And this evening we have people here from across the spectrum, mostly country people. And so for them to be here with me in Lowlands this hour of the night, and me and cook no Sunday lunch today, all day I sit down, today is Monday, in any case, the Sunday lunch done. But all day I sit down behind the computer working on budget presentation for Thursday morning. But they're here with me this evening and I want to introduce them to you because they will be part of our conversation this evening. I think I should start on my right because we have one woman in the midst tonight. Just one lady. We have Miss Baldio Marva. Let's call she this Marva. And she's actually one of the farmers down in the valley of Goldsboro. In fact, I can tell you a secret. The last time I got by her farm, she said, listen, this is the best performing and producing farm in Goldsboro. I know she's sitting down next to our next man who from the same area, but I just whispering it so that he will know he have competition from Miss Marva down in Goldsboro there. Next to Miss Marva, we have Mr. Murray, Roland Murray, who's the president of the Goldsboro Farmers Association. And I know we will talk a lot about the challenges being faced by the farmers in the region and what we need to do to improve their productivity in that space. And then next to him, we have the president of ATFA, the Old Tobago Fisher Folk Association, Mr. Douglas from out of Plymouth. And of course, if we're talking food security in the Tobago space, we have to also talk the fishing industry. In fact, when you go to ADB, or Agricultural Development Bank, they will tell you that a vast majority of their loan profiles actually fall within the fishing industry. So welcome, Mr. Douglas.
Yes.
And then I come around to my far right, we have Mr. Rajman, Farouk Rajman. In fact, we had intended to host this actual program from out on the farm earlier today, but the weatherman said the weather ain't going to cooperate with us, so we didn't want to chance it. He has been transforming his farm for agri-tourism, and we'll talk some more about that. Quite a spectacular view. If you see, I have a photo overlooking some lush green hillsides and so on, and a nice green valley. It's from the very top of Mr. Rajman's farm. And then across on my left, extreme left to me is Mr. Taylor, Bertil Taylor. Everybody's calling him Alibaba. And he's the president of the Castara Tourism Development Association. And he is one of the prominent voices when it comes to sustainable development and environmental issues. So we can't talk food security and rural development and not talk environment and not talk sustainability and not talk man and the biosphere and what that will mean for our development build out. And of course, next to Mr. Taylor, we have Mr. Lewis, Nathan Lewis, who is the president of the recently formed Tobago East Chamber of Commerce, country people doing things. You know, we have our own Chamber of Commerce up in the countryside. Just felt that we weren't represented by the mainstream chambers of commerce, and so within rural Tobago, we have the development of a Chamber of Commerce. They have been led by Mr. Lewis, who is an entrepreneur and a proprietor within that Roxborough area. I guess following on from the family tradition, the Hercules family tradition in Roxborough, being one of those long-standing business families in the Roxborough district. And then finally, next to me, we have a fella from Castara. There's going to be plenty of problems up in Castara there. Mr. Junior Koshi. Everybody just call him Red Pig. Mr. Koshi is one of the fishermen in the Castara area, leader of the Castara Fisher Folk Association there, and has been a prominent voice when it comes to matters with the fishing industry. And so I want him to be part of this conversation as well. So good night, lady, singular, and gentlemen, plural. Glad to have you all. So sorry that we're starting so late after tussling with the internet. You know, man does plan, but God does plan more. And who knows, maybe we'd have gone up in the bush and the internet would not work at all. because that service provider, we're planning to go with one of their wireless boxes. So it's probably a good thing we're here. And we have some connectivity to the both major service providers. I wouldn't tell you which one break down today. But we are calling on names, but we're glad to have you all here this evening. We're talking food security on one hand, but we're also talking rural development. And the reason why we married both of them is because the vast majority of our farmers and a significant number of our fisher folk reside in what will be viewed as rural Tobago. And if you have to develop the rural parts of Tobago, a part of that recipe has to do with treating the farmers and the fisher folk well as important commercial avenues for what we're doing. I want to start with you, Mr. Nelson, because at Tobago East Chamber of Commerce, where did that come from? Who thought about it? How did we arrive at it? You know, I always hear people talk about what used to happen in Roxborough in terms of township and how bustling Roxborough was. At one time, we had, 2 secondary schools or so in the area there. They had a lot of private businesses that were bustling with activity, and then Roxborough just fall off the map. I often make the point that I was born in Roxborough. 1985, in those days, births, delivery of children used to happen in Roxborough. And then for a while, that and all just cut off. So it will appear as if rural Tobago regressed because Roxborough was our town. Not Scarborough, not anywhere else, but Roxborough represented that township for rural Tobago. But now we have the Chamber of Commerce. So tell us a little bit about that. How that got started, where the idea come from, what you all are hoping to achieve in terms of a Chamber of Commerce for Tobago East and also for rural Tobago.
Okay, so the conversation of the Tobago East Chamber, it actually started on a Saturday. All right, on Saturdays, I man my business myself, and the gentleman next door, Mr. Ellis Clark Archie, he and I had a conversation one Saturday, and we were discussing what could we do to have persons come to Roxborough a lot more often, right? And he was saying that maybe we should do an organization, maybe we should come up with something to plan, just to plan some activity. Now, if you know Archie is a big cricket fan, so he was saying one of the best ways to get this done is maybe to have a cricket tournament and people come in and so on and so on. So he and I just sat there, we were discussing ideas and so on. And then I think it was the first meeting we had with the area representative, Mr. Duke. And at the meeting, Archie stood up and said, listen, today's the best day to start the chamber, you know. Start the chamber from today. And it so happened that during the meeting, there were a lot of concerns on the development of the East, how the East is going to be developed, especially Roxborough, and Mr. Duke had shared some of the plans that he had for the area also. So we decided amongst ourselves in that room on that day that we were going to form the chamber, right? So it was an impromptu happening, so to speak. And immediately I was tasked with the responsibility, right? Because Archie stood up and spoke, and then he said to me, he said, Nielsen, this is me and you idea. Me a old man now, so you step up, right? And so I began looking for persons within the area. Actually, we are still looking for persons within the area. So if anyone, I know we all here are in the business of agriculture and in terms of taking Tobago forward. So I can take your numbers after, I can add you to the chat. We are looking for the more persons we have on board is the better for the chamber. All right. What are the objectives of the chamber? So we are looking to be able to inform persons on the opportunities that that the chamber has in terms of networking, in terms of the other opportunities that might come from the central government, that might come from the THA. Right? So we are looking to build a body of persons with the expertise, where it be legal, where it be advertising, and so on. Right? I have recruited a very bright and enthusiastic young man, Justin Stewart. Right? He assists me greatly.
He recently had a
had a biz pop.
Talk shop, a biz pop.
Yes, Justin recently had a biz pop in Roxborough.
Quite successful
right,
too.
Quite successful, right? So, and that's another feature of the Chamber of Commerce. So what we are looking to do is to provide advertising and marketing for businesses and networking, right? And to provide some education on the avenues for businesses and maybe some spin-off industries that can be bolstered and formed within the Tobago East community.
Well, I'm glad you raised those issues, and I'm happy that you're all got started. And sometimes the best way to start is in the kind of organic manner in which you all started.
Yeah.
No pomp and ceremony. You have the community there. Everyone is there. You're not wasting any time. You discuss the matter. You put it to action immediately, and you start working on the outcomes that you hope to achieve. And I'll bring you back in the conversation later on. But I want to segue to our farmers. From within all the farmers you have here from within the Gosbo area, right? Three of you, Ms. Marva, Mr. Murray, and Farouk, three of you from within the Gosbo area. And when we're talking rural development, part of that conversation has to do with food security. You all have to find a way to become the breadbasket of the Tobago space. You all have to find a way to produce a lot more of what we eat. You all have to help us in bringing down food costs, because right now the price of food just going up and up and up and up and up. Way up. Is the popcorn saying that about going way up? Like the food price just going way up.
Yeah.
And it's a reality that we have to treat with when we look at what's happening with the war between Russia and Ukraine, and what's happening with wheat prices. So, you know, all flour-related products, all wheat-related products, prices will increase. And most of our diet, a lot of our diet consists of wheat, unfortunately. And we also have situations where the division is looking to start the processing of cassava flour in a big way. So we're looking to engage farmers on all of that. Starting with you, Miss Marva.
Yeah.
How long have you been farming?
Well, I've been farming since probably about 15 years or more now.
15 years or more?
Yeah.
And from over your 15 years experience, do you think we're doing enough to get farmers where they need to be and get farmers ready to produce in a competitive way? What are some of the things that we need to be doing that we're not now doing, you think?
Well, for the Gosbo area, I should emphasize. Firstly, one of our biggest problems is water. Not when you go to kindergarten or when they teach you to plant, the first thing they tell you, sunshine and water. And water is one of our biggest problems there. But
even with that big river running next to you, I have a
Yeah.
little farm. You have a big river running right next to you.
no. I am far from the big river. Far from
Well,
the big
not-
river.
It's a dry
Well,
condition.
not-
Yeah, it's a
Well,
dry.
It's a dry stream.
A dry.
A stream that runs there
Yeah,
occasionally. But
occasionally.
the point is, there is a big river running through the Goldsboro
Yeah,
area.
the Grosville have a big river.
A big river.
Yes.
So the distance is not really far from anybody. Just that we
We
have
need
been
to
unable to
get
connect.
exactly.
Access.
We're not accessing that, and it have some people who is on the extreme left. The main road, you have to deal with it. So House of Assembly have to come in to help, because no one individual could. You had to get about 3 big pumps to get that water to you if you're over on that extreme left, you know. So that is one thing. But farmers in Grosville, we are eager. We ready. All you just have to just help us. That water, and another problem we having is marketing. Marketing
No.
is one of
Let's
our
have an honest
biggest
question. Don't
yes.
afraid to tell me as it is.
Marketing, because okay, they're saying farmers and the producing and all thing. You would put on 20 crates of tomatoes, and you could sell tomatoes by the truckload. When some buy some and you drop some by all them people, you have about your whole place just tomatoes left, right, center, and they can't go nowhere. When you go by them side people, they say we still have more, we ain't ready for none yet, and you just had tomato. So if you know, like industry where we could make ketchup, we could look at these things. You understand? If we have a place where we could drop the tomatoes by this, you know, somebody organize some ketchup to make ketchup or something, and we know we could supply. Grosboro is ready to work with everybody. We're ready to work with everybody.
That water problem, Mr. Murray. I had a conversation on Friday with one of the technical officers, one of the engineering officers in the Division of Food Security. I said, listen, all that caused me people and them headache. I went up in Goldsboro, they feed me nice food, one set of provision. I come back with a whole bunch of planting, big planting. I had to cut out the planting and make package and share with workers and all kind of thing, the planting. I say, you're stressing out me farmers and them. He tell me, he said, no chief, the water running. I said, mister, last time I was there, which was about 2 weeks ago, they tell me no water running. They say, yeah, they had some kind of problem, but water running from the well that they dig. And all farmers need to do is to tap into the line that running along the main, because water running along the roadway. And farmers need to tap into the line and bring water onto their respective farms, get a tank system, whatever you need to store water on your farm, and proceed. The water problem fixed, Mr. Murray?
They're fooling you, chief, they're fooling you. The water really running in the line, but the water running with no pressure. As a matter of fact, like my holdings, I have one of the bigger holdings inside it. When I under production, I had a 2-inch main. In 2007, when they run that main, right? They run that main, the bigger holdings, they give 2-inch. When they came recently and activate the 3 wells, they break it down to 3/4. My holding about 3/4 on it. Can that supply my holding? I have about 5 acres of land under production. And they break it down from 2-inch to 3/4. People like Miss Baldio and Farouk and them that is on the left-hand side, which is hillside in Pig Farm Road, no water could go to their holdings because you have no pressure on the line. Because 2 of the wells that they activate is observation wells, and they had said that before, but the contractors went ahead because WASA had shut them down on many occasions. And due to the election that was coming up and them thing, they wanted to just do something. So he's a mama guy. The person who tell her that, they're fooling you. I telling you plain straight.
Because I asked the engineer straight up, I said, listen, at this point, I'm frustrated with this whole well story.
Yeah.
Teacher don't spend the millions, however much
13 million.
on it, and it's not working. So we wasted, wasted 13 million. Can
Chief,
we just
before
go down?
you go further, you ever see a young boy pee and a old man pee?
Yes.
Well, the whole man piece what we getting in that line right now. Let me break it down in low terms here. Because when this is no laughing matter. When I in the garden, I create my 10-year-old grandson. Sometimes I go to pee, just come and stand upside of me, and he peeing quite out there, sir, and he watching me. I peeing right there. That what happening with the line. Yeah. He had no pressure on the line. So people like Farouk and them who want to develop and them thing. The whole left side in Goldsboro, underproductive. He had no production. Nobody do want them lands. Because of water, but still, it's hillside. But from my experience, right, the hill could work.
Definitely.
But you only could work it in the rainy season. A farmer want to take that land and only could produce in the rainy season. Because in the rainy season, on the flat, we don't get some problems. Like me, I on the flat in the valley down there, I just get some problems. I just lost a lot in the crops and them things. But like if you're on the hill, you know you ain't gonna get that stuff for the losses. Yeah. You could do melon, tomato, anything because the water running off. But then that just for 6 months. What are you doing after that?
I even said to the technical officer, listen, at this point I ready to forgo the 13 million the teacher don't spend. The money don't spend already. Yeah. Whoever eat a food for me, eat a food.
Yeah.
We need the water for the farmers. Right? Water. When I look at the situation, there's it's not even a babbling brook, it's a gushing river you have running down the valley. All that water running out into the sea down at the base there. That river is never dry, and that's why I say that's why I was saying to you, Miss Balu, in that area you have a big river. There is a big river running in the area there, and in my mind the surface water we have there is sufficient. I don't know why we didn't think about pulling the water from the surface.
No, well, we had advised them. We had advised them to dam the river.
But if you look at Louisdon Nursery, Louisdon Nursery pulls the water from right behind the nursery there where they have a little catchment area. It's not big, but they never out of water.
Well, from our experience and knowing the river up there, we had advised them to do that because back in the days with washing plan, the crushing plan and the Baba Green plan that they had in Goldsboro, they had dammed the river. And they was pulling water from that to supply that crushing plant to wash that gravel and thing, and they never had a problem. So we tell them go back on the same spot and, fix it up again with the stone and them thing. They came, they look at it, but they didn't do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So they had the big 6-inch pipe down in the water. They had the big, huge pump pulling the water, supplying the whole of Goldsboro.
And yes, Farouk, I see you want to come in.
Something, Chief, I would mention with the pump in comparison to Louisdon. I have worked that area, right? And it's really never out of water. If you notice the design of the pump in Louisdon, is that they built it on a corner. It doesn't need desilting. The river does that itself. That is something to consider to Goldsboro. Goldsboro River is a monstrous river when it comes down, when it's flowing. And anytime you trap that river on a stretch, it will remove. It will remove whatever you put there. So you have to put it in a way that the river will flow on the corner, glide alongside the construction of the dam area to trap the water, and desilt the material on the opposite, which naturally that's what it does on a corner. A corner is always deep in a river. So that is something we could consider upon thinking about using the Goldsboro River as in terms of, because we never have a problem for water up on that side.
One of the persons online asking the question, if you guys, I know the answer, but I want you to answer. If you guys supply hotels, restaurants, and so on with your produce.
Well, what happening, for instance, like me right now, you have the second man. Like last week, you had this guy, he took 500 pounds of tomato from me and like about 7,000 pimentos. They are the guys that supply the hotels and them things. Because what happened to us, we will go to from experience, we will go to the hotel and they will only take produce when they have guests and a certain amount and them things. The farmers can't go through that. So we just have to sell it off. You have Melvin and Mansom and these guys go buy wholesale from us and distribute it to the hotel. They had a connection with the hotel and them things. It's very hard for we to supply the hotel in this, like as farmers. Farmers don't really supply hotels really in. is the second man who does supply the hotels.
The new hotel that is popping up down in Shaw Park, I saw they put out an advertisement asking for farmers and fishermen and so on too.
They don't say that, but for instance, all right, Coco Reef called me for some pumpkin. When I went down there, I load up my van and say yes because a partner working there. I said, set up a connection for me. He tell me, the war pumpkin come down. I load up my van carrying 2,500 pounds. Well, I say I go put on some extra because it's hotel. 2 pumpkin nearby. And I went to Grafton. I waiting on this place, Magdalena, for an order for flavor pepper. And I will be waiting a couple of weeks. Then they call you and say, well, bring X amount and then things. So.
Well, see, part of the problem too is that we have a larger spin-off effect from the tourism sector not doing as well as it should be doing. Because if we're not getting visitors to the island regularly, and I mean, I have a battle to fight with Caribbean Airlines and airport authority and so on to get the airport open later and make the island accessible. Tobago's economy is driven by services, the service-based economy. You can't have a successful service-based economy without people and the movement of people within the space. The absence of that means that the hotels can't take from you the supply they should really take because the numbers, the resident numbers, very low. And so they will take 2 pumpkins from you today and that 2 pumpkins will probably stretch. Because they will make the cream of pumpkin soup, and they're going to make cream of pumpkin soup for mostly about 2 weeks straight. That 2 pumpkin.
I just want to interject. As a farmers association, you have to be aware of the market and how the market is swinging. You have to be in control. Because, as Chief said, right now the island doesn't have much tourists. So then you have to think about the people coming from Trinidad, those are the domestic tourists. They have to eat too.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of restaurants, a lot of fast food places that would need produce. So as a farmers association, you have to make a link with all those entities, have them on your list, and call them and say, listen, how much you need of this, how much you need of that, and then you can make your arrangement. It's a lot of work, but I was speaking to the lady earlier, and I said, well, the Farmers Association must have a body. Doesn't have to be farmers, but people who could administrate for those things.
Yeah, well, the last meeting we had some discussion, and our discussion was on that. What we're doing right now, we are trying to set up a marketing strategist to do all the marketing, advertising and everything for us, because we're hoping to establish back the Grosbo Farmers Market in August. So right now we start putting them thing in place because we're going to be bringing back everybody from town up in Grosbo to buy produce in August.
You're talking about the farmers market in August in Grosbo. I can tell you that efforts are on the way to develop the farmers market in Shaw Park. And that would be a day-night market, so it wouldn't be a market that
so it wouldn't be a wholesale market or a farmers market?
It will be mixed. Mixed between farmers and agro-processors.
Okay.
Because we want the space to open in the day, we want it to run into the night as well. It should be the place where you come to buy your produce in bulk if you want, as you would in a normal farmers market. But it should also be the place if I want to get some cassava porridge in the morning, or if I want to get some roast bacon in the night, or some saltfish, or some dirt oven bread and so on. I could go there and get it, or I could get some of those processed stuff that we do with local produce in the space, hot chocolate, tea and so on. So that entire area, the hotel there, the cultural complex there, we'll do some nice rehabilitation work. We have to do some road works there as well to manage the traffic flows in and out of that hotel, along with that main artery coming from the gas station. But we should have a farmers market set up there. Will primarily be is a hybrid, farmers and the agro processors.
But what I want to get in detail, because they keep calling me about the farmers wholesale market. And I never really register or put on my name, because I still believe that Tobago farmers not producing
Enough
enough
to do
to have a wholesale market. What they should have is a farmers market. We used to always try to implement, we've been behind the assembly for years to have like a farmers day in Scarborough. But if they decide to do it in Shore Park, it's good because when they go to Barbados, Grenada and all them places, I've been in them places, you have farmers day where the farmers take over the whole town.
Well, you will have a permanent space that you all could shop and use. To be honest with you, I mean, I have no problem with the farmer that, you know, packs the van and they go to the side of the road or the side of the highway and try to sell. I mean, I've seen you down at Stumpy's. I've seen you chatting up on the hill at John Dale there already. I've seen people by the side of the road, whether it's down by Bishop's, whether it's on top of Shore Park, trying to get a corn sale and different produce. But having a permanent home, it means that you will have some structure. And it's not to outdo or to run what is happening down in town itself.
Well, that is the problem,
because
Chief.
the market in town, what we plan to do for the market in town is that we need to give the market in town some more life and liveliness. So right now, we're working on having accessible. In fact, it might be up already. They should have free Wi-Fi in the market in town. We're looking at having entertainment on a weekly basis in town where a pansai come and play, somebody singing, somebody dance, to create an atmosphere and to generate activity in that space. Okay. We're also looking at how we could intertwine the market with that space behind the mall, the new development that should happen around where the old NIB mall was. Yeah. We're also looking at parking, because one of the challenges is that the elderly who like the market have a challenge finding park, because Market Square, by the time 7 o'clock, take workers alone full up Market Square. Yeah. You have nowhere to park, you don't have to walk too far to get your goods. So the market in Scarborough is due for some inputs to help, you know, get some activity, economic activity in this space. But we have to get moving.
Yeah, I think I had the experience of visiting markets, different parts of the world, in Germany, in South America, Central America. And most markets always have entertainment. You know, you go there, there's all different kind of food, there's live band playing, you know, and we're missing that here. You know, a little drumming also wouldn't hurt, you know, and just to revive the culture, you know, and get people interest, because market don't only attract people who buy food. Visitors love to go to market just to see what you offer, and you know, and so therefore, when you add all these little things to it, your culture, it's a huge attraction, you know, and by making an attraction, people buy more and more money turnover, you know.
Well, I want to bring the Fisher folk in the conversation.
Before we go on that, marketing board. Remember we used to, years ago, my grandmother used to work garden and marketing board used to go out and buy product. Why it is that the farmer who plant now have to look for marketing board purpose? In those days was that purpose?
I was hoping somebody will raise it, because you're right in that the purpose of marketing,
exactly,
it really and truly should be to find the market. The actual markets for the producer.
For the producer.
Because you are a good farmer, you are a good farmer, you are a good farmer, you are a good fisherman, you are a good fisherman.
Why I go and sell?
Right? You're all into tour guide and so on.
I'm a fisherman too.
Well, you're a fisherman too. You're boats. You're boats plural, right? And then you're showy line, right? But the point is, if that is where your talent is, you shouldn't have to leave your farm unattended for long periods at a time, just trying to sell the produce off your hand.
Exactly.
You leave it because the amount of melon and things else you have in, the amount of pumpkin you just have, pawpaw, right? That nice big pawpaw yesterday that I get from you, the big one, not the small one, right? Them pawpaw is extremely perishable. When they ripe, they will ripe quickly and so on, and you have to get them off your hand. So you have to now focus on trying to sell off your pawpaw.
Tomorrow morning I have to go and try to sell off about 200 pounds of that.
Well, that's in marketing board purpose.
Try to sell out your pawpaw, and that's time you take from
Yeah.
on your
Whole
actual
days,
farm.
exactly.
Yes.
So that take off your whole day, probably sometimes weeks based on
Yeah,
when they get
exactly.
corn.
Exactly.
It's weeks I see you on
Well, I still
Facebook.
plant the corn.
I see on Facebook asking people to buy corn.
Yeah,
Weeks.
that's too much problem.
It's too much problem.
Yeah,
But
too much
Chief,
problem. with
just
it.
a question. Is there anybody or any organization that could bridge the gap between, so Ms. Baldio expressed that she have tomatoes sometimes that waste.
Marketing board.
Right. So what about somebody who takes these produce
Marketing board.
and send them to persons who doing not just for consumption purposes in terms of people who making cream,
Processing.
who making soap,
Yeah.
who making these
Marketing
kind of things
board
now.
still.
Well, marketing board can do that as
Marketing
well.
board?
They can do that as well because
Okay.
they find whoever the
Right.
end of the supply chain.
The end user. Yeah.
End user.
Right.
But we also have TATCO.
Okay.
And TATCO really should be looking at the business side and should be taking these products and trying to process them.
Right.
I toured the facility in Shaw Park where the old juices factory was,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and already gave some verbal approval because the plan is to fix up the refrigeration system that they have there and storage facility there,
Right.
and use it to begin to process some of these goods.
Right.
Your cassava flowers, your pulps from your fruits and your nectars and so on, and
Right.
have them. We all go to I go to Price Mart and I see a big bottle of soursop pulp, just in a bottle, just the pulp in a bottle, raw soursop coming from Latin America, from South America.
Exactly.
You go, you see all kind of fruits there, and I'm saying we are importing this
Tomato
other country.
juice.
You're
It's
talking
more or less-
about foreign exchange because
Correct.
you can't go and buy people goods in TT dollars.
Right.
All money have no
Everything.
real value to them.
Everything is US.
It's US dollar, you have to buy it in.
Exactly.
And therefore we lose on the return of the dollar significantly. And that helps to drive up the
course.
cost of living
Exactly.
as well. But I want to bring the fisher folk in the conversation because part of our communities, especially rural Tobago, will be our fishing communities and the role that you all play. I always talk quite glowingly about, growing up in a fishing community and understanding what it is to just home, you lie down and you hear the shell go poo, poo, poo. And fish
Run
down
out,
in the bay.
Run
There's still no shell in space side. You see, I mean, into this town living only on it. But there's still a blow your shell, you buy your
Yeah.
fish and so on. Very sustainable in the way it is done. They go out, they fish in the morning, you come back in the evening, they get fresh fish. No stale fish. I come down once somebody brings some fish on me from, sorry, Mr. Douglas.
Yeah, that's all right.
From a place nearby, I call it a name. No, a place, not Plymouth, a place near, the Plymouth get fresh fish. A place nearby to here.
Yeah.
You turn over your shoulder 2 times the fish spoil,
Yeah.
right?
Oh boy.
So you know it's a fresh fish that they
Yeah.
bring give me. I say, listen, all
Lambo.
borrow me and all your fish a towel, right? So I stop take the fish, and as them fellas from up Speyside and Shallaville
Okay,
and
fresh fish.
Castara, when they come down, they just swing by the gate, come sometime I meet in, they come in the kitchen and put me fresh fish in the
Yeah.
freezer for me. Or
Yes.
the other day, one of the men from Castara come here, bring one set of jacks to me, get me stand up in the kitchen whole night, cleaning jacks and seasoning jacks.
And pack it out.
But the fishing industry is part of the Tobago experience
Right.
and part of food security for Tobago.
Yeah.
We have the benefit of having fish prices at much lower prices than neighboring Trinidad. It's one commodity that we know we have cheaper in Tobago
Yeah.
than in Trinidad. It's also a commodity we know we have of higher quality.
Yes.
In fact, most of our agricultural products are of a higher quality
Quality.
than we have in Trinidad. What are the challenges in the fishing industry today? What do we need to do to advance that industry and advance that sector?
All right. Well, first to begin with, some of the challenges we have in one is the oil and gas industry.
You're
Two.
competing for the space.
Yeah. Two, the fact that the Prime Minister give other CARICOM nation the privilege, especially Barbados, to come and catch our fish in our waters, which is the flying fish. Now, how it works basically, we have the planktons coming down, which the flying fish feeds on. Right now, you don't get flying fish in Trinidad waters. You can't get flying fish in Trinidad because the cleanness of the water is different from Tobago. As you said, our product is totally different. So you catch a kingfish in Trinidad and you get a kingfish in Tobago, the kingfish in Trinidad started rotting before the kingfish in Trinidad started rotting. Right? Quality, the salt in the water preserves it more. Right? So the oil industry and gas industry, as you said, something will have to work out in that aspect.
Well, it's not something have to work out. We have competing forces for the use of this space.
Yes.
One of the things I am very certain of in my mind, and I had a conversation with BHP, I said, listen, you have to investigate those claims. I'm not an investigator. Investigate the claims by the fisher folk. Organize, come sit down, let's chat to the fisher folk and work out how we work with each other and around each other. The marine space, fishermen are not the only users of the marine space. So you have the fishermen, you have the oil industry, you have recreational uses for the space, and there's a potential for more. We could even begin to start considering even energy consumptions outside of oil and gas within our space. There's also broader tourism needs for our marine space. When we're looking at marine parks and protected areas and coral reef and scuba diving and so on. So the marine space, there's competition for the use of the space. I don't want to bat out the Bajans too much. Because I might have to go Barbados. I have to go Barbados sometimes soon. And hopefully I get to talk to Auntie Mia and say, listen, you're pressuring me.
It's what it is.
But it is what it is.
About that, right?
The bigger issue though, is they're in the space, and you don't have to tell me they're in the space. I know they're in the space. Right? I know of the battering that happens. I know who does take Moby from Bajans because like some of them Moby taste different and taste nicer.
It's even weird.
Right? And then we just give them some products that they want. So you have one kind of battering happening on the sea. Right. But the problem is that poses a larger security risk for the country. And if it is, we as CARICOM neighbors, we have to utilize the space together. We have to have a proper agreement to which Tobagonians agree with.
Yes.
Nobody ain't going out there and make no agreement for me and for this island.
That's right.
We have to have an agreement.
That's right.
And be in agreement with what we desire.
Yes.
How we're going to share the space, how we're going to use the space. Because remember, part of the challenge they are facing is that their national distribution flying fish are migrating into our waters.
Yes.
In our waters, we don't feed on the flying fish as much. We feed on the larger species, in particular the dolphin, or the mahi-mahi, the kingfish, and so on. That feeds on the flying fish. Right. So the flying fish are better preserved.
So when you take
water.
the flying fish away, right? Because what happened?
Then we also lose. So there's a need for us to do the things sustainably and be able to protect the interests of both sides.
So what we need to do, we are hoping as the fishing industry it may sound funny, but we have to invest. ADFA is considering investing in 4 of these boats. 4 boats that will go out, not the price of the Capital of Paradise, but something.
How much one of those big commercial vessels really cost? The one boat in the space is not enough. The one Capital of Paradise is
what I'm saying, we don't need to buy an next Capital of Paradise. Capital of Paradise right now will bring in the Forex because the Capital of Paradise main concern is tuna, and that will bring in the Forex for the economy for Tobago, right? That will give us a first sustainability. What we need is these sort of like boats like what the Bajan has. So we have 2 in the east and 2 in the west. So these 2 boats now will be able to go out, but before we meet there, we need to have young people going on the Capital of Paradise, training to get the captaincy license, to be able to maneuver these boats and get the requisite qualification and skills to be able to go and fish these boats. And as fisher folks, we now need to change the way we used to fish because the price of gasoline is going up. The price of oil is going up. So now we have to now start to invest in what we call more long line fishing. Like what the Spanish leave their home and come here Alibaba and catch out our fish. Burn less petrol. So the long line fishing now, we're going to be able to catch with same snappers and with same, but at less cost. So that we could have 3 and 4 fellas going out every turn, and would come in. And I assure you, guarantee you, with these type of method that we introduce, we will now be able to control the price of fish again. And with that, the consumer will be able to say, hey, listen, when fish selling in Trinidad for $40 a pound, we selling for 20, because we start to use a different method. And then we could increase from 4 boats to probably 6. And it will now be a viable option. So a man could say, hey, I ain't have to worry to go to university, you know. I go in and invest in the fishing industry.
But how much would one of those, on average ballpark figure, one of those boats will cost?
Well, to be honest, the last time we have checked, roughly what the boats that I'm talking about was something like about 600,000, right? Because ATFA is to go to probably Barbados to check out the fleets of boats they have, or Miami, because we've been doing our investigation. Not only that, Chief, once we could be able to sustain the local product, where I'm also in talk with people from Europe, and also we want to get back with the Japanese to be able to export it. But first we have to do the first setup to have that sustainability where we could be able to feed ourselves so that we could get fish all over. And also we must be able to set up this place where you call it Chook, Mr. Kwashi, right, where we now start to package our fish and process our fish. And we have more, as we said earlier, we have more smoked fish. We have smoked fish from Tobago all over. So in hard season, we had the dry fish, so we could be able to use it. And also, we could start to tin our own fish in here, but we need that plan to be set up. So all of that is where it entails. So we was hoping that we'll be able to come through the BDU as a guide, right? Where we could get that funding. I don't know how whatever, because when you go through the ADB bank, is a lot of red tape. And a red tape causing us not to be able to be self-efficient to feed and to be able to make sure that these programs happen. But it's quite simple. It just needs a bit of investment, because I'm saying in the next 5 years, we will have no problem under this food security. And we've been asking for what we call a set net. The set net now would be able to provide the bait. A set net is a net that holds bait. So when all these boats, before they go and they take a dip, and that set net they could charge in US as well, because we're not only catering for our local base. We know there's how to go to Grenada. Capital Paradise had to go to Grenada to take a dip. When we could go to Palatavere, set up the set net Palatavere outside of Plymouth, there is the facilities for that. There is the room for that. So quite clearly, it will be generating income and also providing jobs for people who, because these things need to be maintained. And it is a viable option. So with all of that, even the hotel shouldn't need anything, because I've seen Mr. Murray, where in the past, when a pirogue go out and bringing something like 40 wahoo and kingfish, the hotel Turtle Beach can't take it, Grafton can't take it. But with the processing plants, we now could process it, because when I go to England, when I'm living in England, I go to some of these processing plants, and I'm telling you, we get in frozen sliced kingfish in box, already priced. So you know you live in a home. You can't get the fresh fish, but this processed fish, you could get it for either $300 or $400 a pound. It is already cut, monitored scale, so you just have to go and collect a box, and everything is there. So this is the attitude and the direction we have to go. But we must also be able to get assistance. So even in the assistance in moving forward, we will need people also to help a marketing We need marketing skills. We need that, whether it's by the teacher provided for the 2 years or 3 years or whatever, but you must be able to just give us it and go. You must be able to guide us. We need that skill set, because I believe a fisherman should fish, right? And the vendor should sell and the consumer should consume. So when you planting, as you said earlier on, you just need to plant, right? And you have the skill set who marketing, doing that marketing and that downstream product, so everything gonna work in a tenor. And for the record, the fishing industry in Tobago is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? But no effort had been put into it. It's only when you came now, you decide to come and revamp the capital of paradise, and we're having this conversation in food security, and this is the way to go. So
and all again, all your gas rebates.
yes.
All they asked it for a long time. All again, all the gas rebates.
Yes.
Based on what Mr. Douglas said, you know, it's strange enough, one time in Tobago, we used to have a flying fish packing in Tobago in a big way. And if we go into that boat system, it's obvious we are going to bring back the same flying fish
But
packing.
them boat that they're talking about,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas, is trawlers?
Not
No,
trawlers.
Not trawlers.
Not trawlers.
Long line.
It's
Long
big
line,
boats,
yes.
big boats where you go to
Like
the
in
sea,
Grenada.
catch the same flying fish,
big boats in
the
Yes.
same dolphin, the same kingfish,
because-
and dock here.
Yes.
And most people don't know.
Some palang thing.
Yes, they said palang also
yeah,
and long line.
Yes.
When these Belgians come here and fish flying fish, all go back to Barbados and register as Barbados flying fish. None, not one does not say they catch here in Tobago. And that bothers me a lot. And I'm saying if we invest into those boats, we go land here, we go know what we're catching here, we go do a record of what we have in here, and then when you sell a fish, you could go by the market and collect a flying fish pack and your food process. And
Yeah,
we
because
go-
this woman in Bonacord who said it, I remember.
Used
I had
to.
I had, she my in-laws and them, she employed like about 6 of them.
Kina used to do it.
Yeah,
I
Claudette.
used to do it and
Yeah,
Claudette shut down because they cannot
No,
get
That's
the
the
flying fish.
lady over across the
Jacob.
where the airport supposed to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Right, so she
Yes.
she preparing to continue the business down at
Right.
Cove. Last time I spoke with her, she was just waiting on she money from.
Yeah,
Right.
she had a,
Yes.
a big staff.
Yeah,
She was
she had
waiting on she money from them Nitco people.
Yeah, but
And she had to be lawyering up and struggling with them to get she money
yeah,
to
that's
Chief,
so
reset
sad.
up
No.
in Cove.
if you are doing that, we have to get the boat to bring the flying fish. We cannot be giving away our flying fish to Barbados.
And not only that,
Yeah,
I'm
things have to be put in place.
concerned that our processors of
Yes.
fish products not getting access to the quantity of fish that they need.
Yes.
I scrunk to get me dry fish for
For Easter.
Easter.
But
Right.
how could
Right?
scrum
And
to
why?
get-
Hold on, hold
how you could
on.
scrum?
Normally, I don't scrunch to get me dry fish, because no, hold on. I don't. Me don't eat dry fish up anywhere because some of them when they're making dry fish, or leave it out in the yard there, all kind of fly over the dry fish. So I just get proper dry
They
fish,
do it light now.
right?
They just do it light now.
Hold
Them
on.
fellas light things
I
up
have
now.
proper dry fish, whereas get from up by Barton up in Paltevere,
Paltevere.
or I will get from Ziggy in Castara,
Yeah,
right?
Barton good,
Are you-
Castara, them fellas
or
good.
Ziggy in Castara,
Yeah, them fellas
right? And I used to get from Coast and them down in Charville, but like them they're not producing as much as
Yeah,
before.
Well, okay, come
Because-
But the point is,
It has-
asking everybody saying, Chief, tuna scarce, we can't get enough tuna, we can't get enough tuna, and then the Trinidad market buying up all the tuna.
Yeah,
So
they have to-
tuna coming in the Trinidad market buying up all the tuna, which means
Yes.
there is a ready market for
There
tuna.
is a market.
That
A
is-
big market for
That
the
is
tuna.
why.
And not
when
only
you-
that, the
when-
outside market, war tuna.
Yeah, that is why when you decided to take the capital of paradise and rebirth it in the direction in which it's headed now. When capital of paradise come in, before capital of paradise comes to land, all of the tuna on the capital of paradise is sold in Forex. Sold out. So what you have to do now, with these boats that we're talking about now, with the long line, we're going to be able to get money too. And we're going to get 1 and 2 tuna, right? So people could be able to afford that. These boats are to feed the local market, because we must be able to feed ourselves and also control the price. Because what happened when the wisdom of the Prime Minister sat without your knowledge, and make a decision for Tobago without a Tobago counterpart explaining the risk he was taking. We have nothing against the Bajans, you know, they are our neighbors, right? And
But we have to be part of the conversation.
and you giving them, that is what we're talking about.
Because
We
because
must
we,
be.
we can potentially work along with the Bajans. I am
Yes.
not one of those xenophobic people that
No.
think we need to lock out everybody. And
Yeah, no.
we could work together.
Yes.
But we have to be part of the conversation.
That's
It
right.
can't be that we're just saying, and we
Yeah.
don't know what they're planning, what the deal is.
That's right.
We don't know, because their practices may not be as sustainable
Yeah,
as
but,
our practices.
Yes.
And so we have to ensure everybody on the same page where
Right.
where that is
Because-
concerned.
You know that Tobago used to export fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say nothing that.
And-
To the same regions.
To be used to do a lot of things.
Who stopped that? Who squashed that?
Who squashed that?
Well,
The
I believe,
Hassan
in my
market.
opinion, I don't know if I'm right,
The
it's
Hassan market.
called bad management.
Yeah.
No.
The Hassan
I
market.
don't know, bad management.
The big fish processors in Trinidad. I shouldn't say that.
Why?
They
You could talk freely here.
all right, good.
Yeah.
They felt threatened by
Of
Tobago
course.
exporting fish.
Of course.
Because we used to export fine fish, dolphin,
Snapper.
redfish. I used to catch 1,000 pounds of redfish a
Yeah,
week.
them mackerel
And I used to,
them tongue and them-
I used to
Yes.
export that from
Yes.
from Pigeon Point
That's a
in
challenge
East.
to them.
Yes.
Jacob, James.
Every Friday, I go and collect a check.
Yes.
That's done. Listen, Tobago fishermen used to make a lot of money. The flying fish.
Yes.
We used to catch a flying fish and go buy Terrace One,
Terrace
go buy
One, Emil
Emil,
Roy G.
$1 a
Pump.
pound.
Yes.
You catch I catch a boatload of flying fish, 1,000 pounds. You go along there, $1,000, I go home. We did
Yeah.
that. So they realized that the fishermen in Tobago was getting too much leverage by exporting fish, and it was threatening their business.
Yes.
That cripple way.
Yes.
So they had influence over HACCP.
Yes. They have an interest.
They had influence over HACCP, and
Yes.
they squash every business that export fish on Tobago. HACCP came and
Squash it. Yeah, just squash. Because let me say this.
everybody, nobody can export fish
Let me say
again.
this, Chief.
We now have to go to Trinidad if you want to export
And
fish.
give them.
Yeah.
Them
So,
know.
so by stopping you from exporting, it killed the fishermen business.
Well, right.
Cripple, yeah.
So that's why you don't find fishermen today with bigger boats, and you don't find fishermen really have that interest in going
You
out
want
and
to go into it.
to go and fish. Because as soon as you catch a couple 100 pounds of fish, the market flood
Yeah.
because there is no export.
Well,
And this is what we are the work country. We have to be able to export fish from
If-
Tobago.
if-
They have,
even-
you see all them new building, all them fishes building that they build up around Tobago, and none of them has it standardized.
None.
That have to change.
yeah,
The building in Castor,
change. Have
there's a guy in Miami now, he wants to buy lionfish, and he wants to export it from Castor. You want to take it from Castor. But it's not HACCP standardized.
You have to standard.
He has to go to
Must
Trinidad.
pass your standard. Must
Yeah,
He's
but-
buying,
but-
he's buying lionfish at $70 a pound.
Well, that's
but,
quite.
but,
that's
but,
quite-
but, but, but allow me to switch gears a little bit. I stay with the fisher folk.
Yeah.
But I train a ball in all your court because some of the space have complained. They say, listen, the fishermen and them feel as though the beach and the sea belong only to fishermen. And everywhere you go around the whole island, they take over every beach, they take over the whole beach. There are some other industries coming out of fishing that I want us to also explore. And in fact, I'm opted to start in Castara and Palatavere. Palatavere because we have a gentleman
Yes.
at the back of Imbi there that does the boat repairs and so on, and working on getting him some
Right.
access to electricity so he could do his thing properly. Castara because right now when I come down Castara, everybody boat pull up. And the amount of space,
Access to the
There's
beach.
no access.
there's no access.
Yeah.
You can't put on no beach towel again. Them
No,
girls
no,
can't
they-
come,
no,
can't come in a bikini again, fiberglass all over the place.
No.
Because a lot of the frontage, and it's not just a Castara
Yeah,
issue, eh?
that's a-
It's an island-wide
Right,
issue.
problem.
Where we go around the island, you're seeing our beach fronts taken up with a lot of boats pull up. But you can't blame the fishermen.
No.
You can't blame the fishermen because we have not set up places we're talking the industry. The industry is more than just the
Correct.
catching a fish, the
Correct.
processing a fish, the selling a fish
Yes.
or fish byproducts.
Landing sites.
We have not developed landing sites. We have not
Sites.
developed places for boat
Marina.
repairs and be able to dock your boat and get your boat fixed properly and so on. And that's something we want to start doing in earnest. And I think I mentioned it to you when we met with the CTDA, I mentioned it to Mr. Koshi as well. I said, listen, find the piece of land in Castara, let me grade the area down, let me buy you all a trailer. You know, when you're coming with your boat, you hook it up onto your van, you carry your boat up, you organize, you have electricity up there, you have security up there, fencing, you organize, you get your boat fixed and so on, you bring it down on the bay. But we have to do something about that side of the business.
Let me explain to you. In reference to Castara Bay, where the fishermen are now, that was not the area where they were from initial. They used to be on the other side of the bay.
The other side, as in my
where the new building is.
Right.
All the boats used to pull up there.
Used to pull up there. But
No.
we can't build this big building and take up
They
the whole
build
space.
that, they break down the old fisher folks building and they put up erect this new one. So by erecting that, they said, well, let the fishermen go down on the other side until they finish up here. But while that happening, people are building things on the front that is obstructing fishermen from accessing the beach. So now, where the fishermen are down there, they wouldn't move from there to go back up there where you have all these huts on the front. You can't pull up your boat properly. A man had to push on your boat, he's an excavator you had to bring, and you had to take down a coconut tree.
I think what we need to do, we need to understand that one name change. Right? What happened in Castara, I remember when I first bought my boat, if I tell you the price of the boat and engine was $6,000.
What? About an engine?
$6,000.
Not anymore.
Right now, my engine cost me $145,000.
Well, are they hearing some costs of some
Right.
engine there?
And when I bought my boat, his father had fiberglass, I had one, Loris had one, Michael, about 5. Now, Castara get over 50 boats. We have to talk about development and change. What we need to do, as Chief said, is find a spot. If your boat under repairs, your thing is secure. Fiberglass, we cannot fiberglass again on the beach. It is total. We didn't know. Okay, I say we did not know.
Okay.
So we went into something that we don't know. Now we pay the price. Because daddy, to be honest, I used to take some sand and I sip the sand. Fiberglass dust in the sand. Right? So I'm just saying how the fiberglass is doing, right? We need to find a spot, as Chief said, that's going to be secure, you're going to be fenced, you have shed, your boat, everything will be secure. Your boat pull up for a small thing, fine, but we want to repair a boat like
Extensively.
a water general,
And that
and okay. And
Mr.
that,
Bassey, that is what I was alluding to
Right.
with the different type of fishing. And I was having a conversation with Secretary James. We know as ACFA, we sitting and we was working out a plan whereby, as you said, everywhere beach you turn, it have fishermen. Because that is what we had inherited. But now the world is changing and we have to change with it. First of all, we have to now start to designate location. So we have landing sites for fisher folks. So if you're going to sea, you're going to see from here. So we'll be able now to regulate and control and have proper data on how much or what pounds of fish you bring in. So we know we have a landing site at Roxborough. We have a landing site at Palatavere. Now, all these rest of little places, like for example, we look at Fort Granby and we look at Studley Park. We could either decide, listen, which is a bathing beach for tourists to spread the chairs and come and lime, or we use Granby as the landing site. But we need to differentiate because we know not only fishermen are the survive, we're now looking for tourists, brother. So we had to know, listen, look recently, the development of Buku Beach. I went down there, Alpha had a little get together, and the amount of people I'm seeing coming to Buku instead of going to Store B now.
Well,
And Pigeon Point, it's amazing.
In the past, I used to like Buku Beach because it's just used to be a quiet place. You could have driving down in the back there, driving below the trees there, relax. Nobody say anybody for hours you see nobody,
Not so again.
peace and quiet and privacy,
so again.
and you get a nice soak, among other things. But now you look down, Buku Beach is
Like carnival.
what going on now?
So sway, don't see, don't pigeon point.
Yeah, people they flooded the whole area.
This is the approach we have to have. If we will want tourists, we have to have this. We can have fishermen in here, and a man want to bathe, and the incident where in Plymouth, where this boat run over tourists. We don't want these things to happen again. So we have to know have designated certain beaches, look like Kinnegwin. There where we could invest, and we don't need any fish land. That is not a landing site. We need to have designated landing site, because as I said with the landing site, Chief, we will now be able to regulate and control. So it will get rid of the illegal runners and stuff like that. So anything outside of that, we know it is not whatever. So we'll be able to pay little taxes. We'll be able to contribute to our economy as well. We'll be able to contribute to our economy. So we know when one of these boats come in Palatavia, we know Palatavia, these boats are coming with how much? 10,000 pounds of dolphin, kingfish or whatever. So we know we could prepare ourselves, right? So that we'll be able to control it. Now in Palatavia, you go to bathe. Palatavia is such a beautiful, Castle is such a beautiful bay, but it's boats all over. We need to have proper structure.
Well, as Mr. Koshu was saying, in the Castara example, you pull up for a small repair, which will not take long, fine. But if you're going to be extensive, you're going to be there for years, just there, then those we could move externally, and when they get the money or wherever they need to get there.
Tobago needs an area where fishermen can pull up their bigger boats, where they can repair. Because in Castara you can't pull up big boats.
No,
you can pull a big boat up the road. My boat, I did that once or twice. I took it to Bloody Bay up the road, and it was difficult. I put it on my trailer and I put it on my van and carried it. Very difficult, because just to come from the Bay Road alone, it's difficult.
That is why we need it. Why we need those ports to dock, and like Ali, you pull up, you come in and you pull up. Erejo, we come, trailer, everything pull up and straight to prepare. You shouldn't have a problem. We shouldn't have a problem in going down, in berthing to the sea. We shouldn't have a problem in pulling up. And also, what we need, as we're talking about food security, we also need a place, a designated place to fuel up, to ice up. I see Mr. James is outlook for Scarborough. We need that, because this thing I think the central government want to build a marina down on the end. One, it's damaging all the coral. They're damaging all the coral and fauna. They're starting to they destroy that. All the turtles and they will destroy it. And two, there is no room for the average fisherman to even do it. So how could you?
Where?
Well, that is friendship.
Friendship.
Yeah.
They want to marinate back there, but
only big stuff marina.
But the thing is, with that marina project, I stopped in the course.
Yes, you did.
On that, because my position is, I have a problem with marina going anywhere.
Yes.
My position is, you have to come through the THA.
Correct.
First of all.
Correct.
Because if you come through the THA, then you could have certain protections built in.
Yes.
You're doing a marina, we could do the necessary research, we could look at what the environmental impact will be.
That's right.
We know what type of marina to build, what mitigating factors we have to put into place to treat with the environmental fallouts that we will have. Because anyway, putting on a marina, you have to disturb something to put it down, right? Sometimes. But they are safe and environmentally correct ways to do it. But I can't trust somebody else to do that for you.
Exactly.
I do that for me.
That's
I could buy my own business in that regard.
Yes.
And that's why I say let it come to the THA where we could get the necessary protections in place.
That's right.
And ensure all young people benefit from it. But as I talk about landing sites for fuel up, and that's one of the things that we want to do in the Palatavia area. Being able to have access to fuel close to the jetty. I visited with MP the area recently, probably about 2 weeks ago. I went there with MP just to do a cursory look, because they indicated that already purchased the tanks and so on for fuel station in the area. And what we agreed to do is that we're going to run a line from wherever we put the station. We'll run a line close by to where the jetty is there. For now, so that fishermen could come up on the jetty and refuel. But the building of the Palty Bay jetty, that new jetty,
Yeah.
we will design it,
It will
to
design
already
it.
take
It will design
the
everything.
pipes, electricals,
Right.
everything, the tanks and everything. That would, because there's a way to design it now to hold fuel on the jetty above the sea without getting the leaks. And,
Yeah.
there are things that they do now. So we'll design the new jetty to take that.
You're right.
And given where Palty Bay is located on that northeastern end of the island, it's easy for cruise ships, and it's not Palty Bay water very deep.
It's very deep.
You need to do no judging.
Deep.
No judging.
You
You jump off that jetty like a shark, and you can't swim a jump. You jump off right there in 30 feet.
The smaller cruise ships will go in there. But
Yeah,
the
but
small
it-
will have difficulties because of
Because of the
shape
cove,
of the
the ship at the cove, right? But the smaller ones could come in and dock and be able to get
I
refuel up and so on and
I
go.
remember I took some people on a tour once, and they had some business with cruise ship.
Yeah.
And we stopped on top of Palate Bay. They were staying at Hilton at that time, and they said this will be perfect to land the small cruise ships. You know,
Because it's generally calm, naturally deep. They can refuel right
It have what
there.
it takes. It have what it takes.
The environmental impact for a long jetty wouldn't be as detrimental as, let's say, Charlottesville, that have some reefs sort of
Some
like
challenges.
right off the end of the jetty there. So, you know, it's things to look at.
And that itself, when you look at it, I like to look at it from the fund generating income of it aspect for the island. That will generate a lot of fund. That will be a very fast turnover. Because I'm telling you, when Plymouth were active with the jetty, the type of boats and the type of fuel.
I never saw Scarborough gas.
Listen,
I never saw Scarborough
I'm
gas.
telling you,
Don't Plymouth.
I'm telling you, chief, people come in and tell me they're full enough to go South America.
Yeah, maybe in Scarborough gas.
Well, I can assure you that Plymouth Oil will get back a jetty sometime soon.
Yes,
We didn't have sufficient funds in this fiscal year that ended, but we're preparing to give you all your jetty soon back at Plymouth as well.
The whole corner they're going right out to the point could be a nice pier going
Because,
out.
yes,
Boats
because
to park up inside there.
yes, because
You could take nice marina development as
yes,
well.
because
You have Plymouth,
which
cruise
remember-
ships.
Yeah.
Plymouth Oil will be perfect for large cruise ships.
Remember I told you I was in conversation
You have a plan for that?
about
Douglas?
a couple of years,
Yeah, he had a plan for that.
whereby
To develop. What do you call that
we
piece
were
of
giving
below
some
there?
people from Europe as well, where they wanted was to invest some couple millions into a cruise ship complex.
A cruise ship
But
complex.
the present administration didn't want to
Former.
the former administration didn't want to deal with the people and them. They wanted the people and them with conversation with them. They wanted the people and to give them the money. You come to spend something like a million euros and you telling me you want me to give that to them. They have to be that discussion. So in that terms, you know, it fell true. It fell true because people coming to want to invest, and you come to invest $1 in a island, and they want them telling you to give me the whole $1. There must be some kind of
Well, let me say this now. In this space, we are going to open up the THA for proposals. You have a proposal. You think you have capital to invest?
Yes.
Come with your proposal.
Yes.
Come with your proposal. Let us see the merit of it.
Yes.
And we engage. Tobago cannot grow and be competitive with our neighbors if we do two things. If we try to shut down Tobago from everybody that's coming to invest, one.
Yes.
And two, if we believe that only the THA must invest. THA will never ever have enough money to make all investments.
Yes.
So we have to encourage private sector and foreign investors to come in the space and invest. But I want to switch back to the farmers a little bit.
One more thing on that, before I go that. Ishida, the Japanese was here who built Buku, the Buki.
The facility that Olean use.
Not Olean use. That they never give away.
That's also the training center.
Right. You don't do the same people who give us the same set net, a van, a truck, and everything was shipped to Trinidad and stay in Trinidad. It's in Trinidad right now. It was given back to us, you know. Under the past regime, it was given back to us by the fisheries director, and he never reached Tobago because he never left.
He never reached Tobago.
So where they are, they just park up the
Yes, in Chagaramas.
It's there. Norisia give Tobago fisheries the okay. You have to go and get a Chook. They come, they say, you remember when we had this outside Bullman, outside Novo, we used to do it? You remember good? He must remember about it because the Japanese give us that. The set nets like a spider. That's how we go.
So all we need is what? A Chook?
All we need is to get in contact with Norisia. You got a Chook, get in it. And the guy who...
If the net's still there?
Yeah, it is there. This guy on Fire Paradise. Captain. Ellis, yeah. Ellis are them the first person who set net. I know about it. I know about it. That set net, that set all Plymouth. Boats, bait, everything we get in.
And that contributed.
And feeding. I remember that was all Plymouth recommend. We catch big jacks.
The fishes doesn't die.
The fish don't die.
They live there, yeah.
And if you go in there and they are turkey away, just open the post. And to away, you close back the post.
It's a very sustainable way.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, it is
perfect. It's even more sustainable than normal seed.
Then it's in.
That's simple.
Yes. You go by the set net.
Let's kill everything coming in.
Right. But the set net, you go at it, you look in the net, you see what you can.
I mean, I love me seeing pulling it.
Yes,
but we have to manage.
No, yes. It's running the scene, you know. The scene still will be able to shoot.
No. We have to shoot. We are just talking about sustainability. So, but we have to manage that.
No, the scene still gonna be able to shoot and catch the jacks you get. You're still gonna get your little fried jacks and your
fried
jacks. You're still gonna be to get. But what it will do, it will make a serious contribution to the live bait prospect of the fishing industry. So we don't have to, as I said, Grenada, them going to take a dip, you know. You come right outside, you want to take a dip, and you pay your money, and you go. Sustainability. And you know, we've been begging for this for over... Chief, since David was a little boy, right? And
since Lammy turned sheep, you know what I mean?
And this is what was keeping back, and was, I think, 4 set net.
It's
right?
4 net, but it's right now.
3 for Trinidad, one the only one for Tobago. And when those Japanese people were interacting with us, to create some more sustainability, because what we was trying to do too, is to have like,
they run them.
You know, like we're catching a group.
They run them, get the point straight. They run them.
They run them because of greed.
They want the money.
They want to see the development prospect.
To them,
they want to see more personal prospect.
And that's something we have to work on. But I'll come back to you all because we have to talk safety at sea and some
all that
mechanisms.
Yes.
But I want to bring the farmers back in here. We talk about water challenges. We talk about what you all have, and I want to talk to Farouk for a little bit because I was on your farm a few weeks ago when you all had get together up on the hillside there.
Correct.
And I see you trying to make some efforts to branch into agro-tourism. I see you have your 2 ATVs and looking to expand. You do your roadway going all the way up to the top of a hill. I mean, a spectacular view. You promise me when you build your log cabins and them on top of the hill there. I'll get it first night. I'll be your first visitor on top of the hill there.
That advertisement will be
right.
marvelous.
But what made you want to change your business model from your traditional, you plant, you produce, and you go and you and try to get them sell you? What made you decide to go in that direction?
Actually, Chief, I had a dream as a 9-year-old boy, when I was 9 years, and I wanted to engage in agriculture. My grandfather have a 5-acre parcel, and he never owned a license.
What's your name?
Say again?
What's your grandfather's name?
Everest Rajman.
Okay.
Right? He was into mixed farming, pigs and crops and so on, and he made a living from agriculture. He never drove a truck.
Never drove a truck yet.
Right? So, seeing that my grandfather, 9 children, he grew up from agriculture. Yeah. So I'm telling myself, I said, listen, if he could do it having 9 children, I only have 3.
I'm going.
Well, probably. The wife kind of put a halt on me then, but if it is that I could slightly diversify myself from my regular tradition work, which is into construction, right, and start doing agriculture, because he mined his entire family from farming.
Yeah, from farming.
You know, on my parcel, what I have done is I try to create employment, because I myself cannot be on the said parcel, right? So what I did, I expanded in a way that firstly went into the coconut, and that scrap, well, I say it's scrap because of the massive loss that I suffered within the first 4 to 5 years. When I should be bottling these things now, I suffer in a fight with bees. So what I decided to do, and then, well, obviously the water was a struggle at time. People say that coconut don't need water, but it does.
They do. Yeah,
You get a faster bearing process.
There are some coconut tree on the IS that they are struggle.
Struggle.
They knock them hard and small.
Correct.
So they're lacking nutrients. You can tell them they're lacking nutrients.
And when you're doing business under commercial standard, you need to know that you could produce, one bunch should give you 25.
Yeah.
A tree should give you nothing less than 100, 80 to 100. Yeah. So I needed that. So what I did, everybody told me the hillside land cannot be worked because it's too steep, and so on. Now I have equipments. So what I did, I contoured the land and I conserved the water. So the water don't gush down on my parcel anymore. It soaks, it takes its time and it soaks through. Because I have planting, I have cassava, I have everything, a little everything. And it is of excellent growth. I don't use no kind of fertilizer. The president and the secretary could vote to that. The only chemical I use on my parcel of land is to kill the weeds, because it's on a vast scale, right, to keep it under good control. But what would have happened to me is that I realized that that farm, I cannot survive doing that farm on just depending on sale of the produce. So I decided that I'm going to diversify into the agro-tourism, where I'm going to introduce the 4x4 bikes, you know, to the parcel, because it's a vast parcel. So that people could come, you wouldn't pay an entrance fee. If you decide that, listen, I'm coming here to the farm to ride the bikes in particular through the trail, they pay for that. If there are fruits that you see it fit that you want to pick on the way and you purchase that out, you know what I mean? So I have diversified to do things like the cabin. So we have taxi people coming around the island. They have to talk from Scarborough to Charlottesville and back. Some of these people don't even have a proper destination, a spot you could stop. When last you could actually see, Chief, a balata tree near proximity that you could pick a balata without paying $15 to $20 for a bag that only has 5. These are the things.
Yeah, I need to tell your family and them in Goodwood, stop chinks on the balata. It's them that chinks on the balata more than anybody else.
Well,
so little bag.
What really happening in that perspective is that to get the balata, most of the time the trees are being destroyed.
Yeah. You see, when you get older, you get wiser, to be honest.
Sure.
And when you were younger, and when balata piece, and you know you worry balata.
Yeah.
When balata bare heavy season, you're just sticking a blade and cut the limb and you cut the branch, and because they don't want to fight up to have to, but you're cutting the tree poorly, so the tree itself growing poorly.
Correct.
And by the time the next season, the tree just shooting straight up in the air, and then the productivity of the tree is restricted. The tree, we just didn't know. We just wanted the balata easily without having to do the work, and we just chop down the branch
Correct.
and so we destroyed a lot of trees that way.
So these are the things that, these are the kind of trees, you know, these the indigenous trees that we have, that you have to go into deep forests to find. So when you have foreigners coming, to that said parcel. You have the fruits, you have the trail, we have the great waterfall, Goldsboro Waterfall, that is of close proximity to the farm, that you could take the ATV bikes and you could head up there. You know what I mean? You could have tour guides setting them. So I am thinking that when they come and they experience that, you could have a place to stay. I am thinking that I want to draft a proposal and take it to the Tobago House of Assembly because the land was given for crop production.
Oh.
I would not just go and build a cabana on it
Without permission.
without permission. But I guess with a proposal, a feasible proposal.
Yes, certainly of course we could do consideration.
Right? So that what I want to see in Goldsboro and to any hillside is that said parcel could use as a template. Because most of the time, a lot of people does not engage in too much hill farming because machinery is not accessible to them. Right? So when you come to that farm, you would realize that it is easy to pick lime, lemon, the coconut, the plantain. Everything has a roadway that also utilizes, in a sense, to conserve the water so the water don't gush. You know, so there's the hillside lands could be used, but a lot of people not interested because the idea is not there of how to bring it to a feasible working order.
Well,
you know,
as I mentioned that, Mr. Murray, in the Goldsboro, when I was there last time, and every time I go there, I remark at how vast and expansive that estate is, but how underutilized it is when it comes to farming. And then I keep hearing, well, this land give out to this family, this body have this land, that have this land. The lands are missing bush all over, big bush. And I am saying, very, very clear in my mind, the teacher need to start to take back those
Correct.
land. You're not using the land. Take them back.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Because when I came here today, we were having conversations about farming, right? And I am currently farming. I've been farming for the past, you could say sometime between the last decade, right? But just as a hobbyist, right? And I occupy a piece of land currently. There's a guy that operates adjacent to me called Maxon Roberts. And he has been toiling for years to get water to his parcel.
This is where?
In Lobido, right?
And water?
No, it have no water up there. That place desperately need water. There's a guy who has been there before us called Reginald O.
I don't know.
Right. So Reggie, he comes there, he has tanks all over the property, but we have to depend up there on rainwater, right? And the production that could come from that place, it has a lot of opportunity, but it's just that we need the water. And our next thing is, I know of a situation where a young farmer, just like myself, he has access to land, right? But the land doesn't have any proper tenure. And then it has a dispute with the stuff that he has on the land currently, right? So he is in a situation where he needs a place to go, where he's going to take his animals, he already has crops, what is he going to do? Wow. So in terms of having the conversation about that and in terms of allocating land, there are a lot of sheep farmers because I have sheep. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was last year or the year before, I spoke to you about some Sinan.
Yeah, Sinan, yeah.
Right, good.
Because I have quite a bit of Sinan.
Right. So we had a conversation about that, right?
Yeah?
You want?
You one? Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Right now, they even want to see them sheep and goat and pass by me too hard. Because, I mean, when we sell the live goat, me again for the live goat.
Exactly.
The live goat, how much they want to pay per pound? Must be about $11, $12 a pound they want to pay?
I think 16.
For live.
16 or 17
right?
they want to pay now.
Right, but when they go to Trinidad, they bust their throat and say it's halal and sell it for $50-something a pound. So the same goat. You look how much profit they're making off my hand. You know my goat them does
Me coming back here and bite.
and then we come back here, I go and buy yaks and bite. You know much what that's going my goat them in no kind of little scrawny goat, you know.
So
Is proper
you have a black one
Hybrid.
too.
go, yeah, it's proper go and what you think name go bush. When I go country sometimes I go with my old man to go and pick vine and pick bush and all kind of thing to hang up for goat because we're not feeding all goats on just ration alone.
Yeah, exactly.
We want good quality, good quality stock.
Yeah.
And introducing the concept, the whole issue of ruminant farming, for which
Exactly.
Tobago
Yes.
have a competitive advantage.
Correct. Correct.
Whether it's goat or sheep and the ability to do goat's milk and all of those things down the line.
Exactly.
Very, 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 very important. That's something I think that that we have to find time in this fiscal year to develop. We're talking about processing. We have to get the abattoirs up
Correct.
and running properly.
Yes.
We have to have the packaging facility
Yes,
exactly.
running properly,
Yes.
so that we could have the and get people to train and understand the cuts.
Yes.
So you know the different cuts
of
that,
Yes.
that you have to do
Yes.
for the meat, so you don't
Exactly.
waste the meat and literally butcher up the meat, but we cut the meat properly, so that the meats could be sold properly. But the value add is there.
Exactly.
When you go to the market to buy meat, you know, most of the guys who sell the meat, they do not know the different cuts. They just chop, put it in a bag and go.
Right, Chief, let me keep a little focus on this, on the developmental growth, bro. You see, one of the problems, as you was about to say, is the lands that people hold on since in the 70s. Now, Gosbo was one of the most productive farming area in Tobago, right? In the 70s, you had this flood that came and wiped out most of the farms and them thing, the livestock. All them hill lands that you're seeing across Old Pound Farm Road, them is 25 acres that was given out to people.
25 acres per person.
Per person. No, none of these people or their children work in these lands. And they just upset with me when I say we must take back these lands.
Well, let it upset with me now because
and give it to people.
I instructed the Secretary for Food Security in the presence of administrator said you need to issue legal notice to all of them that are not using the land. The legal notice must indicate that you're not farming the land substantially and you haven't done so for a number of years and we are going to take the lands back. So I don't feel you're going there and just go and choke two little plants
and
talk about your
our
farming.
association be discussing and we had prepared a proposal with it. When the land is to be distributed, the association must have a say in the distribution of the land. You know, just sending in people and them thing. And then again, too, one of the things that we propose is that people must go on a probation period. Right, like 2 years or something. You're just going and jam on a piece of land and end up like the past regime with the same strip in it. You're working the land and nobody can take the land. Right? We give them on a time period to see your performance.
But are you willing to train the farmers also?
Well,
because
that's
what my
something-
experience was, right? I went into farming as a hobbyist. I just plant corn and peas and my own seasoning, right? And then I had the opportunity to move to a larger parcel. I cleared the entire larger parcel. By the time I cleared the entire larger parcel, it was hard to get the crops to full up the land. And then it grew back on me. So by the time it grew back now, it's like a struggle between fighting back to clear and plant and fighting back to clear and plant.
We have a whole package, because we have to get, as I talk about training, we have to get good field officers that could work with the young farmers or whoever is it. They are the experienced farmers like me who are willing to share whatever experience and knowledge we have with them. Because right now we've been taking in young people in the association. And we hoping to get lands to them. We will guide them. To make sure they produce.
There's a program in Trinidad. I mean, there's plenty of craziness down there. So it's not very often there's something that you could say you want to emulate. You just want to watch them better and keep shit and narrow. But they have a program, a 2-year program, apprenticeship program.
Yes, I saw it.
Where they're providing, but it's 2 acres lots they're giving them. And for young people, and it's homesteads. So the property coming with a homestead for you. In your first year, it's just your training. The second year, they give you a key to your property, a key to your homestead, a key to your land. But you have to continue the training in the second year while you're living and working the land that they give you. So that what they do is land distribution, yes, but the the building, as one of the contractual obligations, is that you have to take the training while they're building out the land. Because we don't want to, what happened in the 70s happen again.
Yeah.
Where Eric Williams come and give away all this land, 25 acres there, 25 acres there, and then boom, years later, the land is big forest. They're not using the land, bush there, they ain't plant nothing in donkey years there, that kind of thing. We have to get the lands into productive use. And that will help to drive down food prices. Because the truth is, if you get 20 farms with tomato as opposed to 5 farms with tomato, just the bare economics of that supply and demand will drive the food prices down.
And our next conversation that I think we should have is Mr. Douglas was speaking about the fish waste, right? There must be a means in Tobago where we could use the fish waste plus the agro waste to create our own feeds. There's a gentleman in Speyside who makes his own feed. So if we could find a way,
that's what my cousin, by the way,
right,
Mr. Wilson,
right. So if we could find a way to use the fish meal, because the farming that I am trying to do is sustainable farming. That's why I have crops and I also have small scale ruminants.
So you more or less everything connected to each other. So you use feeds, you do foraging for your animals.
Exactly.
You use the droppings from your goats and so
to back into
and sheep to go back into your manure. So it's a cycle.
It's
everything
constant,
connected.
and that is what sustainability is all about. So by using that model now, I am trying to drive the cost down for actually purchasing feed. I don't want to have to purchase dry feed for my animals. Right? But if we could find a way to use some of the raw materials, some of the stuff that we have here naturally, we could have the fish meal from the fish of we could use some of the rotten stuff from the farmers, right? Someone collects them, they grind them, they put them together. We have our own feed mill, because the chicken farmers, as you know, I have a meat shop, and the price of meat now is astronomical, right? And the price of food in Tobago. It's very interesting that we would say that the cheapest thing in Tobago is fish, right? But we live in, when you look around Tobago looks like the richest place on earth. Everywhere is green, right? And we are not doing enough to utilize the greenery around us.
Well, as everywhere looks green, most of us here operate in the countryside, do our business in the countryside.
True.
And part of the conversation has to be about rural development. Well, I expect Mr. Murray to live in the countryside sometime soon. He always tell me about the house he building there, and that's retirement, and he go in and live there and live on the farm, and you only bring the grandson with him. Leaving everybody else down the road in town and bring the grandson alone. right? You bring the grandson alone. But and please, I don't want members of the Tobago space who reside in Tobago West or in the urban centers to feel any way about this part of the conversation. I'm not suggesting for a moment that we should stop development on this end of the island. I am saying that we have not had sufficient attention, development attention to the east and the north of Tobago. When you look at that span from Mount St. George all the way up to Shallaville and run back to Mason Hall, and then connect from Mason Hall across the lake to Bowling Lane, Annosvale, in that region. If you black that area out on the map, you will have the most underdeveloped parts of the island there. When you look at all the surveys we have had, you will also see a significant portion of the poverty resides within parts of that zone. You look at education, attainment, school performance, several other indicators. We're looking at rural development. And that's why it bothered me so much that we had people employed in a rural development committee. And we had nothing to show
coming
for
out of it.
Right? And that's why we had to revamp and reboot that. And it's not that there isn't a need for rural development and that there isn't a need to have a dedicated group of people looking at rural development. But the point is we have to get some work done in rural. Tobago is too small to have a town country kind of small.
Some
The,
country
the,
maybe,
the island is so small that everywhere could be developed in harmony. And for the country people, yes, part of that means doing it in harmony with the environment. Because we're talking about a significant chunk of our existence is the main ridge rainforest. It in my backyard is the mountain forest on one end and the beach on the next end.
Exactly.
And we sandwich in the middle of that. But our development in Tobago East and Northeast and North Tobago needs some serious attention.
Yes.
And the question I have for you guys is, what are some of those things we could do to start to move the development needle on the positive side in the countryside? What are some things we need to do?
All right, before you even go further with that, I didn't really want to make it public, but I'll make it public because you are aware of it. You are aware of it. ADFA has recently conducted a farming initiative whereby we do hydroponics farming. And we were going to do 40 people, we were doing 40 people, which we asked for expansion to open to do probably about 100 more, right? And I am saying to you right now, I am from the West. West is my people, right? I'm from there. Tobago is my people. But as I sit here tonight, I am telling you, the most enthusiastic and concerned and dedicated people in this program, because each person was having 100 crop, 100 seedlings, which you know about, which you will have to come and give the graduation. And the people from Castara, from Palatavia, from even Speyside and Charlottesville and these country areas was so enthusiastic and so happy until one of them person said, how could I get hard times when I have these things? I'm saying from lettuce or pak choy to all of these things was grown, and these people were really happy. I'm not taking anything away from the West, but you could have seen in the chat that we have, because the chat is here to show them, to train them, and to show them what to treat with it. And they are asking, imagine people all over asking, where you get it? I want one too. Everybody wants one because it changes their diet. You're getting a green leafy food and you're growing it, and everything was at time and everything. They were so interested. So when you say about the East being neglected, I understand. But the interest that I was getting out of the people from the East is so high, and everybody wants from it is different from the West. They accept it in the West, they agree. So we was advocating with the meeting to have at least 100 more, 50 more in the West, because this will also contribute to food security, because you grow it, you eat it. And the thing about this, it takes less time, because everything with a timer, all you have to do, timer will tell you waiting from 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it will from 12, then 3 o'clock, or whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying, in a little space, you could have 200 to 100 crops. You could even, if things bad with you, you could even sell. The option is there to sell.
About feeding yourself.
Yes, but you could feed yourself, plus you could gill. Listen, if your neighbor doesn't have, you could tell him, look, 10 lettuce. Look, 10 lettuce. I'll send you some picture of how far we are.
Chief,
as well.
Something I plan to ask here tonight. Because I travel around the Caribbean and all them islands known for something. What Tobago known for? That's a question I want to put directly to you. What Tobago known for, and I want you to think about it.
Beside crab and dumpling?
Beside crab and dumpling. And the crab and dumplings things start to kind of...
Yes, because that's an only
what Tobago, Grenada known for spice. Barbados with the flying fish. Jamaica is carrots and peanuts and them things. Right? Yeah, all Costa Rica with cassava. At one time, the last regime wanted to bring cassava from Costa Rica to supply Tobago.
Yeah, madness.
Right? St. Vincent is banana and them things. What Tobago known for?
what product that we
What
produce
Tobago
better
known
than
for?
anyone
known
else.
for.
Competitive advantage.
Because
This is
it's
something we
fragile.
have to ask ourselves, and we have to generate, we have to promote something in Tobago that people come in like Farouk with the ecotourism thing, agriculture and ecotourism. They come in to say either saying something a banana field. Tobago are the biggest banana field in the Caribbean, or the biggest this. When nobody is that that is part of your
Yes.
your
That's a mantra. For example,
like part of the thing.
I like how Dr. Fid is advocating so much that we have breadfruit. No, it's sad. It's
Tobago
sad.
must known for something, Chief.
It's
something.
Yeah, Chief, look. You drive around now. You seen mangoes knocking all around.
Yeah.
I am paying in England 8 pounds for a little box of mango juice. 8 pounds. That is, yeah. What I'm saying, 8 pounds. 8 pounds. Right? Like $80. 80 TT.
Yeah, but
And we are,
we ain't straight
no,
for
I
the
ain't straight for the question.
I don't ask the
What
other
I'm saying to you,
thing
it
on
leads
that.
back to what you said. We need that mantra to say, well, listen, whether it's pawpaw or fish or whatever, something. We are the islands of fish.
We are the island or something.
No, I mean, you said, Brother Murray, Barbados is known for flying fish. But to be honest, as Mr. Coach said, flying fish come from Tobago. It's Tobago flying fish.
But at least they own it and they establish it and they're doing things.
Yeah, so what you
And they
and 90
Not
point
long
of joy.
ago, we used to be famous of our pigeon peas.
Yeah. Tobago
But
must
that-
be
yes,
the
that
owner
was-
something.
that Tobago pigeon peas.
That
we call
was
it
a
Tobago pigeon
thing,
peas.
yes.
Do we have that plant still around?
You have to work for
Yes, but the cookie coders give farmers a
Let me,
No, I mean there's the
run for
regular
the
pigeon
money.
peas, the gumbo
Yes.
peas, but there's one specific breed that is known as the Tobago pigeon peas that has a unique character and flavor profile.
that to come back because there's a lady, I think her name is Miss McFarlane. I think she has the ability to generate or to
Something like we are the
These
Benin.
things.
We are Benin.
Like
Or
Tobago.
even the better that we
Yes,
Tobago is a
Benin.
we
place
stop
Benin.
doing better
Benin.
using sesame seed.
Because look at old man, Sister Pete in Boko,
Yeah.
the 1 foot lady.
Yes, I know.
She just give me a half pound of natural Benin seed. I have it home. To sow.
Well, that is
natural Benin.
because it's not Benin with it using now.
It's
It's not Benin they using.
And she give me that to establish it, I have it. Thing,
And,
so.
and one of the things that we have to do in the Tobago space, and I come back to the question I asked initially about what some of the developmental things we need to do in the countryside, is that we have to pay attention to our indigenous crops, indigenous foods. You talk about the ballot and so on. Most of them doing it in a way, so we have to get the indigenous foods back up. For if you get some plants and plant on the properties, plant a ballata tree there, so we could get some sapodilla and kaimit and
But I just bought a balata. I just bought a
custard apple and
balata.
so and you're planting and get them available. That's the sesame plant. When you get some of those, the Benin plant,
Benin.
get some of those repopulated in the area. The Tobago pigeon peas and so on.
Yes.
You see,
Get some of that
in the
repopulated.
distribution of the land, Chief, this is some of the thing we could implement.
Right,
it.
and we can actually
We could say,
streamline
we
the
give
thing
you
and
this
say,
land
Farmers
to
who
do
plant
Benin.
specialty.
Or we giving you this land to do so and so.
the last
It's either take it or leave
the
it.
last meeting.
And that's how we could bring back these things.
Because it is really hardship if we are not able to feed ourselves, we will be not sustainable,
Exactly.
It is coming,
We stray away generally as a people from culture.
Correct.
I was talking to a gentleman up to this morning at the Hillsborough Dam. That was so hard to get on. And I was explaining to him what I was doing on the farm and so on. So I tell him I recently planted down about 2 lots in sugarcane. Right? So that when people come, you could tell them, listen, go and cut your own sugarcane.
Local, yes.
So he was saying, he said, listen, with that, generate what you call this thing where you should juice it with naturally, a batty mill. So I telling him, and I said, listen, hey, what is that? He said, listen, these are the things. When you're talking about agro-tourism, where you have people from foreign coming here, they want to be introduced to something of a natural state, something that does not need power, electricity. It could be done whether or not. Even the
Could be done manually.
manually, that's it. But we just bake outside with them. Two of them.
Yeah.
The man said make that a possibility on the farm.
And you know that is something we should have throughout Tobago, especially up in because I mean people live in quite Plymouth and all over to go Roxborough to get Dilton, to go Castara to get Dilton bread. This should be throughout.
But where you get good quality bread, you can't bake good like country people. I just say it. But the last meeting early in the game when we had this meeting with the Prime Minister early on, he raised the question of Maramol coffee. I don't know if you all know what the Maramol coffee.
Yes.
Now my grandmother used to make that a whole lot because where they live in by the old recreation ground in space side there. The Maramol coffee sales go wild all around on the field. And she used to patch it and so on. I mean I would probably call my family Halbrook and them up in Belgrade because I know he does still drink it. Because I haven't seen it in years. And the truth, when the matter was raised in the room,
I have that.
Only the agriculture specialists. No, in fact, let me put it this way, all the trainees who were in the room had never heard about it. And in that moment, I pinched myself. I said, oh, wait. I wonder if this is something unique to Tobago that doesn't exist out of this space. That we just we have right before us here that might be dying. And that well, I tell them my family in Belgrade, they still be drinking it. But
I had that home in a
patch. I had to call my family patch cocoa
and grind it.
And then you grind it. And then you make the tea with it.
Right.
But Chief, you just drew something to my attention here because I think you and I and Brother Murray was talking about something. One thing I show all of we here as Tobago and us partaking, is bush tea.
Yeah, of course.
We just participate a lot. Ask Grandma. I know you talking about coffee.
We go up on bush tea and then going in penny savers to buy
tea bag.
Right? And when you put the tea bag in the water, you have to use 2 and 3 because the tea weak.
Yes.
No amount of hot water, the mint weak. I have some inside there for lemongrass or fever grass. I never vex her yet. I had to ask for a plant. Give me a plant, plant 2 fever grass. The fever grass weak.
Yeah.
When I make fever grass home up in country, you're sweating.
Yes,
the fever grass strong, potent.
Yes.
And that's a possibility something we could also monetize.
Yes.
Because we in the teas. Instead of importing some of the teas, we could make those teas.
Everybody drink.
We are known for something.
But I want us to come back to the substantive question though. Which is, what are some of the things we could do up in Tobago, east, northeast, that we could help to develop those areas? That's one of those inputs. Yes, I know we have to fix the road infrastructure in some of these areas. And one of the things we recognize in our conversations at the executive is that in Tobago we have not really built any major new roads since 2001. I mean, if you want to count the garden side bypass, there's a major new road.
I wouldn't count it.
But I wouldn't count that. When you think of the road, the Hermitage Link Road, the connection between Mason Hall, Hope as well. Well, I gotta say it. So I hope you're watching Mr. Trevor James.
Yes.
Right? Because I keep insisting on that Mount St. George to Castor.
I walked there about 2 weeks ago. I did the full hike from Mount St. George.
Right to Castor?
Yeah.
I've never done the full thing. I need to do the full thing someday. But a team went recently. Dr. Boris led a team recently, and they walked the entire thing. And there's a team now sitting down and actually doing the design. The design work. For the road.
And Mr. Hoshachar was going to open a road. They already started to cut it. And
they started to cut it and fine. So we need to get out that road. That
is an important road.
So that is one of the pointers for development and the rural areas. And not only that, if you open up those road infrastructure, other people to be going to own land in the bush.
Right.
They will have access. They could do farming. They could do a bird tours in some of those areas.
Yes.
So the opening of these roads properly.
A lot of the people who owns land around the vicinity of those areas, they don't have access to the lands.
Yes.
And they are farmers' roads, especially from Castara area. You go walk from Castara and go to Bloody Bay without walking on the main road. There are farmers' trails leading you right to Englishman's Bay. You can walk from Englishman's Bay to Palate Bay in the bush, big wide road so, and you can walk from Englishman's Bay or from Palate Bay all the way up to Bloody Bay in the forest. All those areas are areas where people
Road like the road going on Dead Bay and all them places.
Yeah, road like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying to
Some
you,
of
you
them
got to
grow
be
up in-
careful to it. You got to be careful because we concentrate a lot on tourism, and people. I'm telling you, when you live abroad with people want to come and hike and experience some of these bushy areas to preserve. Yeah, but what it was I forget to bring up is that we used to clone sheep in Tobago.
Clone?
Yeah, we used to clone sheep up on the farm.
We
Can they-
used to have some sort of a semen back,
Yeah.
and it's something that we need to get back because
Yes.
one of the
Best
challenges with
cow milk used to come from Tobago.
one,
From the right down in
one,
Shop
one of the challenges we have we're talking we're talking development of rural Tobago.
Yeah.
One of the challenges we have into is having quality stock for breeding
Yes. That's true.
of a sheep. So
Yes.
so ever so often I just have to try to buy a new ram from
Somebody else.
to do an exchange with somebody
Yes.
in Trinidad or so, so that
Correct.
because they don't want the inbreeding,
Yeah.
they want good quality stock. Right through. I mean, my farm is nowhere close to the one in Mason or like.
Oh, no,
I just reach about 30 heads now. Me and reach the hundreds yet. We have a small, we'll be small. 30 heads is small. In comparison with when some people have.
I find the farm in Mason should donate a little goat or something now and then.
Well, I've asked her to go to something.
Chief, with that now, one of the development with this livestock business, and we had to start to do our own meat in Tobago instead of them people coming up and buy it. That abattoir in Roxborough
Yeah.
have to come back on stream.
Could I-
Have to.
And you know, Roxborough used to have
to come back on
Roxborough used to have a market.
Because people used to go up there and buy
A
them meat
market
and them thing.
and a functioning abattoir.
Yeah.
Now there are no market, no functioning
We had to get
abattoir.
the abattoir up and
We got a
running.
nice big building though, but we had no market.
Yes,
no
no
functioning abattoir. But there are sufficient land spaces
Accommodate those things.
to be able to do some work there. It wouldn't necessarily be on the main road, but we have sufficient land spaces connecting all the way back to Argyle and so on. We have quite a bit of acreage there that we could do some development work and open up some of those interior. So we talk in rural development, we talk about access roads,
Yes, you need
we
that.
talk about technological advancement in terms of farming, whether it is cloning, cement banks, that kind of thing.
Yes.
We talk about the need to return some services to Roxborough area, like the abattoir, the market area. We had to also talk some coastal protection.
And landing site to compound.
And we talk about some landing sites too.
Yes.
What we do for the boats, we don't have slipways at all. On our beaches around the island, boy. No slipway, boy. We have to get some slipways around the island, boy.
Watch, as much as you're talking about slipway, look, we need more central points. Apart from this, a slipway. So we'll be able to regulate and control and monitor the movements and the landing of fish, so we could be able to have a proper data, so we know how much the fishing industry making. But if we keep putting slipways, because some of these beaches, I said, need to be for bathers, designated for bathers. Because what happened, what we had inherit was the fact that in every village that have a sea,
People buy boats. People buy boat and they put a boat down and they go and fish.
And then some of them park up. So we need to have designated places for that. So we don't want so much slipways. We need certain central points.
And we do have.
Yes.
A slipway don't necessarily mean that there is a concrete going into the sea. It's just a part where a trailer could access the beach easily.
Yes.
It's just a concrete pile going down to the sand and then it stops. That is related.
But what I'm saying,
And you can't just designate one area.
Not one area.
You know, because a fisherman in Castor wouldn't want to take his boat to Plymouth to pull
No,
it up.
but
You know?
he could decide to say his port is in Palatavere or whatever, and we need to get out of that way of thinking that Plymouth must come from Plymouth, Mount Tilvin, Buku, Southwest. We need to compare. If it's Southwest, we have to make that sacrifice to make that change, right? Because, Baba, I see already in Plymouth where a boatman run over tourists bathing in Turtle Beach. And who pay the price of that?
Yeah, because
the assembly. But what I'm saying, when you have designated places, right? And all right. Look, well, you don't see them. Sometimes you don't see them.
So is he within
Well,
too much close proximity to the shore?
You're swimming.
But what also has to happen is that in beaches that are being shared,
Yes.
we have to have markers to sort
Right,
of identify, zone out the beach, as what happened in Pigeon Point.
Yes.
And that only happened in Pigeon Point after jet ski damage
Yes.
somebody.
Right.
So we have to do that. But another major issue that we have to look at if you're looking at rural development is coastal management.
Yes.
Because we have significant erosion, coastal erosion happening everywhere around, especially on the Atlantic and the windward side.
I remember going to Toko, you know, and see tire wall. Chief Ice, Moruga have it, Toko have it. If you go up Toko, branch, I'm going up Toko to Granny up here, see it, and those tire walls are standing up to now as I speak. All you want is concrete.
Did you observe, Chief, upon viewing my parcel recently at Gosbo, did you observe that there is 600 feet of tire retainment to the front?
Yes.
You see?
So
okay.
I went to the dump and they have truckloads of tires pushing up with a tractor. So I asked the gentleman, I said, can I have truckload of these? He said, what are you going to do with truckload of these? You could burn all of these? I said, this is not for burning. So what I did, I come and I interplat them. And I pour concrete in them. And I am guaranteed if you bounce up with your car, the car is going to go back and the wall is going to remain.
Yes,
because it is solid as solid can be.
I could show 2 fire pictures of that tomorrow.
And the thing about it, you have
And it's
tires.
sustainable, you're reusing a material that would otherwise be in the landfill.
Exactly, and then you have this in the landfill not being burnt, not being buried.
Exactly.
Just been pushing up, occupying space.
Well, the landfill kind of full, so that landfill need to be
right?
please. And it causing problems to the residents in the area.
No.
I tell you, it will work.
No, that is our next thing, Chief. As he well discussed that, is that we use a lot of boulders to retain coastal areas, right? Here, what happened with boulders around sea area, from my experience, is that we don't take the time to set a proper base. What we do, we just clear a spot and you place the bowl on the sand, come up about 6 feet and dice it. And when you have major ground sea, it moves the footing and then that bowler you have to repeat that every 5 years. Every 5 years, that bowler will go away. Simple in Roxwood, it is clear there. Those bowlers that stood up upright is now in a lie-down position that goes around the jetty in Roxbury.
Well, our PO went out for some revetment works in Roxbury there. Because Roxbury, you see that stretch from Kendall right to Roxbury?
Yeah, boy.
Problematic. I feel sorry for those people living on the coast there. Their homes are all threatened and so on, and that needs some development. You there in Roxbury, you all have to do some tidying up of storefronts in that area. I know that there's a larger plan that Mr. Duke has for the Roxbury area. Right. A larger plan in terms of making it a township with a lot of activity and a lot of technological inputs. But in the meanwhile, we have to do some tidying up of the businesses. Even if it is we have to get some paint and paint all the storefronts and ensure everybody have decent signs
upliftment
up so that you feel like you're in a town as you drive through, as opposed to everybody has something catch up. The paint's dull, the fading, the peeling off. You know, we have to just try to lift the standard of how we do business all around. And then there are some areas that we need to pay some special attention to, not just in the east. You go across to places like Lekoto and Golden Lane, and they will tell you they feel forgotten. They feel as though government government go, nobody does anything for them in that area.
Lekoto and Golden Lane are so rich in history. We see it. We see it in heritage. But what has been done for those communities over the years? Nothing. Nothing has been done. For example, when we look at that whole strip, for example, we have the mystery tombstone. The mysterious tombstone. When you go inside there, you tell yourself, is this is the mystery?
But I can tell you within 3 months' time, that tombstone will get some uplifting. I could also tell you within 3 months' time, your fort there will get some work. The fort nearby will get some work.
Yeah.
The one down at Blackcock will get some work.
Which part of the land in the Coloners there?
The Coloners Monument will get some work.
We have a serious thing there. So I'm saying all in...
What is going to happen with the Annersville water wheel?
Oh yeah.
That was a huge site years ago. That was one of the biggest sites. And a fire light inside it, burned up, and that was it. That whole place just
And it still exists.
And the wheel
And
still
the
there.
wheels are still there. All the wheels are there.
The wheel's still intact, right?
Yeah.
But the property was privately owned, so the THA may need to do an intervention.
Yeah, I remember having some conversation with...
Also the Annersville Hotel.
Yeah, but you see, if you would run Annersville Hotel, he do not.
And that Annersville Hotel has a beautiful beach there.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the best snorkeling you will get.
Right.
Listen,
Alibaba would know that.
And Ivan Speyside, and you know Annersville have a reef. But if I tell you that's one of the best snorkeling you could do, especially some drift snorkeling, you just go to the edge of the cove there and you snorkel along there, it's one of the most vibrant reefs you will
People
see
living all over and
will be in that Annersville Bay area. Beautiful for snorkeling.
We have a problem with spearfishers. Almost all the parrotfish in there is gone.
In the Annersville area?
Yeah. Well, I take snorkelers there and they tell, hey, Alibaba, what's going on?
Gone,
No, you know it's illegal.
telling you.
You know it's illegal to shoot them, right?
Yeah.
Do you know it's against the law?
Shooting parrotfish.
But the only thing we have is just that we haven't have the mechanism and the power to police. Because they come to see parrotfish and these pretty.
I know.
Pretty.
Yeah, but everybody think when they catch too chub, it's somehow good for them
We
back.
have to preserve that.
But I mean, that other fish, rock fish, they could catch that.
They're using it as a commercial business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's commercial.
To sell. If
Yeah.
you go on the roadside, you go see them on the roadside.
You understand?
Down by
Hang
Canby.
up in large bundles,
Yeah, we
and
understand
they take them out with the fish pots. They drop the fish pots right along the reef and take them out. And
No fish pond really, spearfishers.
Spearfishers.
That means spearfish.
Yeah, spearfishers.
Chief, we don't play with anybody that intend to jump in reefs, you know.
Parrotfish are really going in fish pots, so you know.
Oh.
You more catch lobsters or small grouper
Yeah,
and
that
more
parrotfish.
land fish.
Gone.
Yeah. But
First of it, gone.
But someone is saying, and there's some comments here online, the gas station in Roxburgh needs to become more reliable, Mr. President. Talk to the owners about that. A seed bank is needed. We talk about cement bank in terms of being able to do AI, artificial insemination with small ruminants.
Yeah.
But seed
bank
bank
is very important.
You see how much we fight up when I had the ceiling program.
Yeah.
Right now I need some ceilings to my primary school in Speyside. They asked me some ceilings there.
Yeah.
I must have to give them a list to help me find the ceilings and them for them. But we need a seed bank.
Yes.
Right? The tissue culture lab, excellent idea. We have to make sure that it's at maximum
But chief,
output.
but we
And
give you a
I don't
proposal
want
with all them
I don't
things.
want to complain again that you give people planting, and when they planting them, I'm gonna farm up top. Mountain George people say I buy them egg from the tissue culture lab. They tell me it's planting. They come is the thing. But yes, in the proposal I had the seed bank as one of those important areas that we have there. Are there chicken and egg farms on the island? Yes, there are chicken and egg farms on the island. And yes, there is a demand for chicken and eggs on the island. There seems to never be enough. And so the prices are always going up where that is concerned. someone said one of our fish processor got relocated in Crown Point. Yes, we know she got relocated in Crown Point. Can we find some of these excess products in local shelves? And you know, as that question was asked, one of the things I admire about being in Jamaica, no, gosh, people probably think I reference Jamaica too much. But it's a good, easy reference point for me. Is that when you go into the supermarket,
Everything.
you will see in the supermarket they will have imported and local.
Yes.
So in one section you're going to have imported Irish potatoes, local Irish potatoes. So one time I asked the lady in the supermarket, I said, why are you calling it Irish potato? If it's planted in Jamaica, it's no longer Irish potato. It's Jamaican potato, right? Irish potato, I mean, but it's a Caribbean thing. Even if the potato come from Idaho, we call it Irish potato, right? But even carrots, and I didn't even realize that we could have grown potatoes and carrots locally until I went there and I seen the local carrots in the supermarket, the local potatoes in the supermarket as well. So you have the option when you go to the supermarket to buy the imported or buy the local. And the local ones, the cost always cheaper than the imported ones in the supermarket there. And so that's the ideal we need to get to.
Well, we have an issue here in Tobago where we have the imported chicken, right?
Well, that is way cheaper than
that Tyson chicken is way cheaper
than
the locally grown chicken.
I know that.
And some persons complain about it. They say that it's hard to season, you don't really get any taste from it. But
as an official cook in wake, repast, wedding, christening, that is a Tyson chicken. Taking real seasoning, real fireside. It's not nice to bake. It's very dry when it's baked. I don't know.
So
it tastes like stale meat.
Local grown chickens.
It tastes much better.
Tasty.
But
easy to get.
But it's cheaper.
Exactly. So for the consumer who
is budget conscious.
Exactly. That might be.
But you know why it's cheaper? You know it's cheaper?
No good.
In the US, more people consume the breast parts and the wing.
Yes,
and they recognize us in the Caribbean. People here like the bony part.
Correct.
We like with drumstick and we like the thigh. So they ship the drumstick and thighs here. We don't know how long they have them refrigerated.
Exactly.
And then they make it onto a market.
Well, usually it tells you the
on the box.
No, they give you a label.
But you
Give you a label.
You know you reference to that. And you know the healthier part of the chicken is the chicken breast. So in essence, we gain the unhealthier part of the meat.
But always.
And very interesting that the conversation we're having is about sustainability.
Yes.
And in terms of us sustaining Tobago, one thing that we need to look at is our healthcare. And what we eat is going to affect how the health system is cramped and
how we prepare what we eat.
Exactly.
We need to have a conversation with people about that. We're talking food security. We're talking about saving lives too.
Exactly.
And I know, and I'm not knocking the harvest food. I went to place for jazz and they give me some nice chewed-down chicken and provision. Listen, the thing's so sweet. My wife wants to eat out all day. I said, listen to me. You don't eat out tonight. Let me please. But the point is, every single day of life we can't be necessarily eating this as down, filled with coconut juice. You could taste the richness of the coconut juice in the sauce. A whole lot of provision. Remember, today we work less than our foreparents.
Correct.
Our grandparents will work. I see a piece of garden that my great grandfather had when he went on the land about 3 years ago. You're still seeing the rows from the yam banks still existing there from all of these years. And when I look at the distance, I say this man has to be man who toting cockroach bag with provision with yam from that distance, from Zap Tree all the way back to space. But our generation not as physically active.
But I tell you,
and therefore
it's better to eat provision and eat rice.
No, all the time because it's complex starch and the body uses it better than the rice and the flour and so on.
That is why we're here for food security. That is why we have Murray, Mr. Murray, Rajman, and etc. Because when we see this cassava, yam, dasheen, sweet potato, and all of that, but we must be able. We shouldn't be eating no cauliflower and broccoli imported.
Stuff
We're supposed to be able to get that here, but it must be well orchestrated.
Well planned.
Yes, well planned. Whereby, Mr. Murray, I know you presenting 10,000 of grapes or apple or cassava or dasheen. We need that. I know I get that from you. Mr. Rajman, I know I get in me planting and all that. So when I see a field of planting, I know this coming, and the consistency, so that our people must not say, I go to the supermarket and you telling me there is no planting. For example, I saw where you would have elaborated earlier this year on these same byproduct of planting and dashing, where we're making flour.
Right.
And we now have the person who turning planting into flour, and we now have the farmers who plant in the flour. So there must be that married in that, so that we could have the consistency. Same way like when you go to when you said in the opening the graduation, smoked fish and things should be all over the shelf, right, of Tobago, all the groceries and all the supermarket, your chamber, everybody should combine and work together for the sustainability of food security. And this is the effort we need in moving forward. But it must be a collaborated effort.
Everybody
must be.
Right.
And also, you must be at the table to ensure that guide, because management was an issue. We can't fall prey to the same mistake that the rest did, right? So you have the right management skill, the right skills at every tier. You have the right skill to work together. So as I said, Mr. Murray, you don't have to worry about marketing. Rajman, because here what we have the downstream product.
Right. So that's one of the main initiatives of the Tobago East Chamber. So what the Tobago East Chamber aims to do is in the networking of business owners. So that's why we're trying to create a network of business owners. So persons in the agro, from the agriculturist to the agro processor, all right, even to the persons that own the retail outlets.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So if we have a network that is streamlined, right, we could decide, okay, we are a part of an institution. I know this guy, he plants the planting.
Yes.
This next guy, he does that, and so on and so on. So then it comes
Everything's
all the way
coordinated.
down.
Yes.
Right. So all the stages of the production is coordinated.
That's right.
All right. So that's that is the networking aspect.
Yes.
All right. And the information part of it is we have to inform the persons within the Tobago East community. All right, because we are all from the East or have some link to the East here. And the conversation that we're having is predominantly on agriculture and sustainability, right?
Yes.
So it says now that the conversation to young persons who might be coming out of school, you have an avenue where there's business that exists in agriculture.
Yes.
There's business that exists in a different type of tourism. Tourism doesn't only mean you go to a 5-star hotel,
Yes.
right? Farouk is bringing something different to the table,
Yes.
all right? And so by having these conversations now, all right, and being a part of the chamber, we could have this network and in turn grow the Tobago East space. So to answer the question in terms of what are we going to do to develop Tobago East, this is one of the initiatives that the Tobago East Chamber is really bent on, right? Because we intend to do some pop-up shops, right? So the businesses in the community, you could come out to showcase what you have, because there are a lot of young persons in Tobago East that have businesses, all right? But in terms of having the right avenue, right, to showcase what they do, they don't have it. And some persons might feel, like I was talking to another small ruminant farmer today, and he was saying that he went to apply for agricultural land, and he got the form by land management, he went to so on and so on, and then it was so much run up and down that he just get tired.
Fed up by the whole process.
He said he ain't fighting up again.
But as we speak, we must be able to identify the product, Brother Murray, in which is important.
Right.
Now, we have hotels coming here, and when the tourism should really kickstart and flights should really come in. Now we have flight landing from straight from here to wherever, all over the world. Lime is a key commodity. So I don't believe that we all should plant the same product, right? Because there's a need for lime. There is a vast need on this island for lime, right? So even if your friend going into or want to get into farming, he must be able to not only get into farming to plant the same product that Mr. Murray making or Mr. Rajman. You must be able to product, but it must come through that structure as what you were saying to me, whereby, listen, I for sure gain lime and orange, and I will be able to supply the hotel and plus the local market.
Right.
And if it's a possibility under your stewardship guidance, we could now export.
Right, so by the chamber, so with the chamber, so by creating a database now, all right, just as Mr. Murray spoke about, right, if you have a farmer that is into small, like Farouk here, he wanted to get into coconut, but because that didn't work out, he came up with something else. All right, so a farmer might get into, he might join the chamber and realize, but wait, boy, I have sheep and goat, Farley has sheep and goat, Nielsen has sheep and goat. All right, this market saturated. Yes. Maybe I could go into, you know what? I go in my all of them farm and collect manure.
Yeah. All as in by
I go in my all them farm and collect manure. So I using the acres that was given to me in Goldsboro, and I'm going to collect manure, and I'm going to package manure, and I'm going to sell manure.
Yes. But also, even in all of this, Zordman, the assembly have a very vital role to play.
Must.
One, in order for us to be able to be sustainable, we will have to be able to import certain stuff.
Right.
And if we import in certain stuff, the assembly have to look at of duty free for us. So if we had to import a tobacco, a Chook, or something, we must be able to pay duty free and VAT. So you run that something like an initiative like that for at least 5 or 10 years. So after that 5 or 10 years, that development process will be able to kick in for anybody who want to invest. You want to invest in Tobago, you want to invest in Tobago food security, you're not paying no duty fee on import for the next 4 or 5 years. But you must be able to invest your funding in here, right? So we must be able to be different from Trinidad. I know Trinidad is the central government, but Tobago is unique in its own way. And you as the chief secretary must be able to have that sit at the table to bring that up so that we'll be able, because we can't compete with Trinidad without we getting some kind of special treatment, you know. Because they have all the big factories and all the big farmers on there. But for us to compete, we must be able to have that opportunity. VAT exemption and duty free. So when we import in all these things, we're supposed to be VAT exempt, but it must also be in conjunction to what Tobago needs to cope.
But what is interesting is that you should say we should compete with Trinidad, because Mr. Murray raised a valid point. What is Tobago known for? So if we in the Tobago space could focus on producing the stuff that is indigenous to Tobago, the Bene seeds, our smoked fish, all right? Now, there are many smoked fish persons in Tobago, right?
Yes, yes.
You have
not coordinated across the island.
Exactly, and they're not coordinated. So what? But what we are seeing is in the Tobago space. If we want to compete, we could compete in Trinidad with a product that is not indigenous there, like smoked fish. We could push smoked fish to Trinidad. All right.
Yes.
We could be able to sell stuff like maybe the Tobago chocolate. We could push that in some type of way, right? There was a conversation many years ago about a bay leaf factory and bay leaf and so on. And we even had a conversation here today.
There's some bay leaf tree
about teas.
Oh Lord.
Of John Dale.
Dry them, grind them out.
Because after you talk about bay leaf, feel someplace up there so that
Look,
John Dale.
Let me show you this. In 2014, with Dr. Ellis Boris and a team.
The milk production, the goat milk.
Goat milk.
Yeah.
And I mean, we would have been so far advanced And it's not a great opportunity for we to be able to
Don't worry,
process.
there's a team of young men from Castara that want to do goat milk
And
production.
cheese, yes.
And the cheese and so on.
Yes.
And I'm going to give them the support
yes.
and give them some access.
But this guy have the machine that the Germans left with him more.
Yes,
Wouldn't
more.
they good?
More.
He went and do all the courses and them things. And
Mr.
right now,
Moore.
he willing to train young people.
Nathaniel Moore?
No, Dave Moore.
Dave Moore.
He have the machines and everything, and he have all the experience.
So we could probably
take
go back
to,
to him and
But that will be a level,
and-
now I'm saying too, the importation of these goods, because we have to import some of these things from the minutes from these things to the cabinet. We have to import some of these things. And if we import into bill, we must be able to import duty free with the strain not being a teacher and also the farmers. Right? So we need that cushion to build. Because here what used to happen with farmers in Trinidad. The government going to pass something, to be going to visit take up on it through the ADB bank. So you go to the ADB bank and they would give you a loan to build your farming and stuff like that. And loans and stuff. And within 5-10 years they write off the loan. With the writing off of the loan, they already now start to import hire 10 and 15 people, so the business will be sustainable, so they could be able to grow. So the fact that they have to now pay all these debts and stuff, that is written off. So it was a grant. It was a grant without you doing it was a grant. And some of these initiatives we need in order to create and to have sustainable food security, because the average farmer in Tobago don't even have $500,000 to invest.
Yes, correct.
So, and that is our problem, the funding to invest, and two, to also orchestrate and to manage pilfering and all of these type of things. So we need that assistance.
and of course, all of this below, we're talking other incentives, the tax reduction, the support in the packaging, the support in coordinating, structure, maintaining, finding the markets, transportation issues, land management issues, land distribution issues, road infrastructure to access and to connect. We have been at this for a little over 2 hours. And we really started late because we had some challenges with the internet. Still not 100%, so you're unable to stream live on the Facebook. We had to do it on YouTube and then patch it through to Facebook, because for some reason it just wasn't working out tonight. But I am always sensitive when I have country people in town, because I know the distance they have to travel to go home. And it's my about to drive up.
I might have come with you.
We want to go with Miss Mama. She don't want to in country. She like to say she can show her stories. But I want to thank you all, gentlemen and lady, for being here tonight. Thank you all for the contributions you have made to a sector that very often have not gotten the support it needs, and very often have been marginalized and sidelined. The issues are many, and we no doubt working on trying to remedy these issues and to provide working solutions as much as possible. So thank you all very much. Thank you very much for listening. Tomorrow night we should be looking at the issue. The final one is tomorrow night: autonomy and the economy. Simple, autonomy and economy. But Thursday morning is the budget at 10. At this stage, I'm still editing and rewriting and we're working. But don't worry, to get to the printers on time and we'll be able to have the copies ready on time for Thursday morning. So thank you all very, very much, and please look forward to the budget day on Thursday morning at 10. Have a good evening, everybody, and God bless you all.